and I credit the Thunder for the amount of bodies that they've thrown at him and the different looks. But when push comes to shove, I have high expectations for Jokic because I think he's the best player in the world, right? So at some point you got to find a way to rise above and make shots. But his inability to score prevented Denver from doing what they should have done yesterday, and that was take a 3-1 series lead.
Well, I think a lot of us think he's one of the best players in the world, right? And that, I mean, you look at the last few games, I mean, he was missing layups. Like, what's going on? And it's just it's a struggle if you're Denver because he is your number one guy. I thought they've rebounded pretty well on the defensive side of things because they just got destroyed there by Oklahoma City once. And ever since then, it's like, okay, we're going to hold him there. But offensively, if he doesn't get it going, he being Nikola Jokic, that entire team struggles.
Yeah, Jokic yesterday just 7 of 22 from the field. He was 2 of 8 from downtown. He's able to do other things to impact the game, but 13 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals. But the inefficient offense from Jokic is a killer. The other big problem is Michael Porter Jr., 3 points on 1 of 7 shooting, and he's making a ton of money, and they got nothing from him. And then Russell Westbrook, a minus 20 and plus minus 6 points on 2 of 12 shooting. So a lot of the help they've gotten from some of the role players. When you combine the lack of effectiveness from guys like Westbrook and Michael Porter Jr. in combination with Jokic, that's a bad combination. And that was a game they could have had yesterday because the Thunder, as good as they are, and they were dominant, historically dominant during the regular season, their defense has been really good. But late in games, their offense is bogged down, a lot of iso ball, and they've been begging to give Denver opportunities to win the game. So I just feel like Denver blew a chance yesterday. They had the early near double-digit lead in the fourth, and then the Thunder just stormed back.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it, is they blew a chance because they had their chance. The fact that they only scored 8 points in the first quarter and still had their chance says a lot, right? But they couldn't get it done there in the fourth. And it's like when they don't have their closer, their closer being Jokic, man, when he's off, again, it just bogs down that offense so much. And you need those other guys. This is what makes the Nuggets deadly, is when everyone's going. You need the Michael Porter Jr.'s to make shots, right? You need Russell Westbrook to get going. You need Christian Brown to score. You need everyone going. And Michael Porter hasn't been playing well either. So, again, you add that to Nikola, and it's just a recipe for bad offense.
Man, what's nice about the Thunder roster, too, is look at all the different guys they can throw at Jamal Murray. You know, whether it's Cason Wallace, who had a nice game off the bench yesterday. They've got the physical Lou Dort. Jalen Williams has done a heck of a job. Isaiah Hartenstein in the middle against Jokic. The versatility on that roster, the length, and how well connected they are on defense is very impressive.
You go up and down that roster, Chad, and I don't think there's a guy who struggles to stay in front of a guy on the defensive side of the ball. Like, they're going to give it to you, right? You just said Wallace is one of them. Caruso's made his entire career off of it. Dort has been phenomenal. I actually think one of the most surprising players in this entire series for Oklahoma City has been Hartenstein. I think he's been really good. Like, it's just like every single one of their guys is there to do something. Now, Hartenstein did miss a couple little shot put shots there, but overall, he's still been good. You get what I'm saying. It's just the point the way that roster is, man. They'll make you work for it.
Yeah, what I don't need in my life is more of Hartenstein with that little left-handed push shot from the baseline. It's like, what are you doing?
That was dumb, but defensively and hustle-wise, I thought he's been pretty good.
Yeah, a couple of pickups that they had. Caruso and Hartenstein, you know, those are two guys that have blended in really well. They know their roles, but they've really helped out defensively. And Caruso's been, you know, critical in this series at times with his three-point shot making, his ability and understanding of how to move the basketball, and then defensively just another long body, a willing defender. He's been great for them.
Yeah, it's just been – it's overall, man, the way that team is built. It's just the biggest thing for him is just getting battle-tested, right? Getting battle-tested, and they hadn't had that because, as you people pointed out, so many of their wins in the regular season were just blowouts, right? Uh-huh. So when it comes down to crunch times and these games and these playoffs where you're going to have to play every single minute, then, yeah, you're going to hurt a little bit.
All right, today I'm wearing, for the first time, my lucky Scoot Henderson shirt. So I've got it on. How do you feel about the lottery today, man? I want to believe. It would be so awesome if they have access to number one.
We all want to believe, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what Portland fans want? We believe and we want to believe in this, but we have been let down before, right? We thought it was the Wembanyama year, and no, it's not. It's not meant to be. Things are looking good, but you know what? It's poker, man. All you need is a chip and a chair in this bad boy. So nights like this are fun because, as you've seen already with the fans, man, I think fans are excited just because it's the day that you have hope. The hope hasn't been lost yet. The rug has not been pulled out. It might be in about an hour or so, but right now, hope is strong.
Well, the thing is, too, if you get Cooper Flag, it solidifies this entire roster because you have your number one and you've got the good young base of talent. And then on top of that, the fan base is revived. The excitement in Rip City is completely back. All of a sudden, the arena is full every night, and people are going out of their minds.
Yeah, my favorite part about the Cooper Flag possibilities, though, is when people are like, well, if you get Cooper Flag, who sits? Like, do you sit Shea or do you excuse me, sit two? What is it doesn't matter. That's a good problem to have, right? A good problem to have. Who do you sit because you got Cooper Flag? Get Cooper Flag and worry about that later.
Let the record reflect that Chris Burkhardt just mistakenly said 2 four-letter bombs on air in succession. Nice work.
But at least it was accidental.
It was accidental.
That was literally just tongue-tied.
It wasn't like a Raider Mike explicit. That was pretty smooth, though. But there are certain words when I try to say it too fast, it comes out the way I don't want it to come out.
And it's never happened, and it just happened. My bad. Dump buttons there.
Oh, by the way, nice work by you, handyman. I needed an extension cord to get the setup completed here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill. My man Chris Burkhardt swung by Home Depot on the way over, picked up the extension cord. Now we're dialed in.
You know, when you talk about like the odds, what were the odds when you called me needing an extension cord?
Yeah.
I would have just so happened to accidentally take the wrong exit and be in a Home Depot parking lot.
That's true.
See? So the odds, it doesn't matter if it's 100% or 1. The odds can work in your favor sometimes.
All right, come on by the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton, 10245 Southwest Canyon Road. They got 30 televisions. They feature the Timbers and Trailblazers. The NFL Sunday ticket, which is important. Karaoke on Saturday and Sunday night, and Wednesdays is trivia night. We're going to be on air up until 7 through courtside. Lottery's coming up at 4 o'clock. You've got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio. 2, I'm just excited at the thought and possibility of landing Cooper Flagg. Because you know, like I do, that the NBA draft lottery never goes in order. There's always somebody that jumps up.
Always. Every single time, Chad. It's just without pause. As I've told you this before, when I broke down the numbers, you go back to like 1985. And granted, the lottery has changed a couple different times over that span, but only twice, and it was 1996 and 2016. Only twice have the team who entered the draft lottery with the top 3 odds actually ended with the top 3 picks. And only once did it go in order, 1, 2, 3. In 1996, it was 2, 3, 1. Right? So now you're looking at that like that's a lot of teams jumping in. Last year's was Atlanta, the number 10 team, just like Portland, who jumped in. Before that, 4 and 5 both got into the top 3. So there is always someone jumping in. The odds might say, oh, you don't got a chance, but when you look at the numbers, you definitely have one.
All right, come out and join us. We're here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton at 10245 Southwest Canyon Road. We're going to be on air up until 7 o'clock. Rip City Drive until 6, and then courtside will start at 6 o'clock with Chris Burkhardt. The NBA Draft Lottery will kick off at 4 o'clock on ESPN, and we'll walk you through with live reaction as the teams are revealed and we see how things work out. It's going to be Tamani Kamara representing the Trailblazers on stage tonight on the television broadcast, which is going to be pretty cool. And we got a little NBC Sports Northwest reunion. Our good friend Michael Serrano will stop by to support and hang out, getting ready for the NBA draft lottery, which is great.
It was surprising to see him. I like Serrano. He's good people over there. That's my guy.
All right, you can jump on board 503-248-0620. And if you want to find us on social, you can do so. You'll find me there at Chad and Rip City. Chris Burkhardt's there. Chris J. Burkhardt. Is it Christopher J. Burkhardt or
no? What? Chris J. I can only put so many letters in.
Okay.
There's some jackwagon out there took Chris Burkhardt. I don't know why they wanted to have that handle. Wouldn't let me have it.
Well, today we've got 4:30 Knicks and Celtics. New York right now, they have trailed by 20 points in all 3 games, and yet somehow they lead the series 2 games to 1. Boston got things going on Saturday with their 3-point shooting. They shot the ball extremely well. I like the way that they move the basketball. And really, everyone says it's a make-or-miss league, but for Boston over the first couple of games, that's just the reality. They got a lot of open looks from downtown. They didn't make them, and New York was able to capitalize late in both games 1 and 2, but they came out ready to rock and focused. I would expect a better effort from the Knicks today, but I thought Boston attacked them really well. And they did so with a couple of guys off the bench that I thought, played really well. But Peyton Pritchard, he's the one guy on their roster that New York does not have an answer for. He's able to get to his spots. He can knock down the shots, and he's done a good job of putting the ball on the floor and attacking the teeth of the defense when he has to.
Well, I mean, that's why he went and won NBA Sixth Man of the Year, right? He has a way of getting there and getting hot. And you say it's a make-or-mix league, and it's funny that you say that because you look at the Oklahoma and Denver series, and, yeah, you talk about Jokic being off, but it's like the OKC defense has just been giving them fits. As where this New York-Boston series, Boston is just like its own worst enemy, just missing wide open shots, can't get their offense running. And it's not really the New York defense that's knocking them off. It's just their own inability to get in that groove. And then you saw what happens when they do get in that groove. And so if you get Tatum and Brown and everyone playing, if you get Porzingis out of this lingering illness he's dealing with, and then you add to what Peyton Pritchard's given to you, then you got a great chance if you're Boston. That's why they went down in the series, and still the betting odds were still in Boston's favor when that happened.
Yeah, they're clearly the better team. I was just disappointed with Saturday. I was so looking forward to the atmosphere and the intensity of the game, and Boston just snatched it early on. They took control, and they never looked back, which was unfortunate. I think I saw Sting hanging out courtside at that game, too, along with all the other stars. It was big time.
I like how when you say Sting, you're talking about the musician. And the first thing I think is like WCW and those good old wrestling days and the Crow Sting and Hollywood Hulk Hogan and the NWO.
That's actually a good question. Which Sting is more famous, Sting from wrestling or Sting the musician?
That's a great question.
Probably the musician, only from the standpoint that as big as wrestling is, it's probably more niche than a pop artist, a rock and roll artist.
It's true.
That appeals to a larger variety. But wrestling, I don't hate on wrestling, man. The fans, they're rabid for sure. Draft lottery coming up at 4 o'clock. The Trailblazers right now with a 3.7% chance to jump up to number 1. They got a 16.9% chance to jump up to the top 4, which would be terrific. Utah, Washington, and Charlotte are your top 3. They each have a 14% chance at number 1 and a 52.1% chance to jump up into the top 4, followed by New Orleans, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Toronto. San Antonio is 8th. Phoenix is 9th because they won the coin toss with Portland. They finished up tied. And then Portland is 10th, followed by Dallas, Chicago, Sacramento, and Atlanta. So that's what we're looking at with the NBA Draft Lottery. Now, if Cooper Flagg doesn't land in Portland, what team would you like to see him land with? Do you have any preference?
Gosh, that's a great question. I think you look at some of those teams that could use him, and I think if I'm one of those teams down in the bottom, like Utah, I don't know where the direction is. Washington, I'm not wishing that upon my worst enemy, right? Charlotte's terrible. New Orleans has to rebuild, but then I look at Philly with a great chance right there, and like, oh man, you put him next to Tyrese Maxey, maybe a healthy Joel Embiid, a healthy Paul George. Whoa, what are we doing here? That one's enticing. And then there's also that rare chance that San Antonio jumps up. And if you could get Victor Wembanyama and Cooper Flagg and that young core, oh boy, that's a nasty team.
I would pick Chicago. I like their young talent. I think they got, the makings of something good there. I wouldn't mind seeing them be with Chicago. I could pull for that, but I don't want them to land in someplace in the Western Conference like Utah or San Antonio. It would give me anxiety. And we'd have to see him multiple times per year play against the Trailblazers.
I'll tell you the team that I don't want to see get him, and that is Dallas. Because, A, that means the team right before you jumped in, and Portland's probably fallen to 11th, and that would be terrible. And, B, I don't want Nico in any way to think that he was right in trading Luka.
Gosh. Oh, my goodness. What do you think about Giannis saying that he's open to the idea of being outside of Milwaukee?
Everybody's open to the idea in the heat of the moment and the way things are going. I think that it's a smart move by him because I think there's a lot of teams that could back up the Brinks truck and get Milwaukee everything they wanted. Here's the thing, Chad. You look at that Milwaukee team, and it's unfortunate, obviously, what happened to Dame, right? But the way that team is built and all the assets they've given up along the way, they don't own they don't own their own picks for like another 5 or 6 years, so they're beat up there. Those picks that Portland have look pretty nice right now, though. They don't have the ability to trade out or get anybody of value back in, and they're all aging. So they're going to have to hit the reset button at some point, pretty much no matter what. So right now, buy high on Giannis, and then you look at those teams that we just mentioned. You can't tell me San Antonio, with the ton of picks that they have and some of their young talent, wouldn't want to get a Giannis on that lineup. Oklahoma City, who has more picks than the rest of the league combined, there would be suitors, and they could get a haul.
Well, you're right, and here's the difference. If the Bucks were to trade a megastar like Giannis, they will get multiple first-round picks in return to be able to retool the franchise. Unlike what you saw with the Dallas Mavericks when they traded Luka, the biggest problem with the trade is that they didn't get the young assets in return to be able to rebuild the roster. Milwaukee will go about it a different route. And if they're looking to reset, you can get a ton of assets for Giannis.
Absolutely. And with Dallas, right, they go and they get Anthony Davis, and part of that is because they truly felt that putting him next to Kyrie and building that roster, it gave them something that could compete right now. It was a short-term window type thing, next 2-3 years, whatever it is. If you're getting rid of Giannis, you have gone full on. You got to rebuild that thing, and you are looking to the future. So you're going to get one of those 6 first-round pick type trades where you're just blown away, and someone's going to get lucky.
All right, yesterday the Nuggets in their 92-87 loss at home to the Thunder. That series now tied at 2 games apiece going back to OKC. The Nuggets shot just 31% from the field, 24% from 3, and they missed 10 free throws. After the game, Jokic talked about missing shots.
They scored 17, so our defense was kind of good too, but I think we had open looks. We just couldn't some of them are local open looks. They were physical, of course, it's like I said, it's part of the game. We took it, and at the second quarter we scored 28 points. So it was a good kind of half. It was a good half for us. We were down, I think, 5 after all of that, or 6.
Yeah, they missed shots. They couldn't make shots. They couldn't capitalize on the opportunities, especially Nikola Jokic. In that first quarter, OKC led 17-8, lowest scoring quarter in NBA playoff history. I was like, what in the world am I watching here? It's like, are you kidding me? The Nuggets, late in the quarter, were shooting 10% from the field.
That's
not
filthy. That's just filthy. And it said you sit there and it's a 17-8 game. The Nuggets out there with just 8 points. Like I said, the fact that they had a chance to win that game. This 92-87 stuff, though. I mean, that's just some old school physical basketball, man.
It is. It's tough.
It's been fun. I think this entire playoff, every single playoff series, all the way through, except for Miami, who mailed it in early. Like this has been a good
and
NBA
Memphis.
playoff.
Memphis
and Miami, yeah. But Oklahoma City also just flexed on Memphis.
It's been really compelling. It's been terrific. And I've been impressed with Denver, too, in this series where I felt like they were overmatched against Oklahoma City. Defensively, they've hung tough. They've gotten good play from some of their role players. They got the big game one from Jokic, and here they are in a position going back to Oklahoma City, tied at 2-2. The Knicks getting the 2 wins on the road. Indiana's been terrific. Just the way that Indiana, they're really connected on defense right now, and their offense, they move the basketball so well, and they play at a different pace that most teams have a hard time adjusting to that. They had 25 assists in the first half yesterday. I didn't even know that number was possible.
That's filthy. They're a well-oiled, well-connected machine, and it's another one of those situations. I liked him a lot when he was in Dallas, but I think Carlisle might be one of the more underappreciated coaches of his time. He's everywhere he goes, he puts it together. The teams play well. He's got the Pacers looking incredible. Halliburton's been wonderful. Siakam was a great trade for them when they picked him up, just a perfect mesh, and everything's starting to click for them. They're as dangerous as any other team in the playoffs.
Because of the way they play, they've changed the way I view them now. I now look at them as a team that has a chance to knock off the Boston Celtics in a series. I wouldn't have thought that was possible, but now with some of the inefficiencies we've seen from Boston, Indiana with the way they're playing right now and the way they're connected defensively, they could pull the upset now. I didn't think that was possible when the playoffs began, but I do now. So I'm really impressed with them. And, Cleveland's up against it now because even though they're going to go back home, now Donovan Mitchell's he's going to be a game-time decision for Game 5. So injuries at the wrong time, and then I think it's kind of thrown them off their game. But Indiana's pressure that they put on them with their constant movement, and then they're connected on defense. I've just been impressed, man. Props to Rick Carlisle. I like him.
Yeah, I've been impressed too, and I think with them, I think it goes to what you say with a lot of playoff series, and it's like peaking at the right time matters, and I think they've revved up perfectly and just kind of peaked right at the right time here in the playoffs. And to your point about Boston, I think going into this, I'm like, yep, this is Boston's conference to win, right? But they have stumbled on their own shoes, and then you've seen what New York's been able to get out of them, and you're like, yeah, maybe that team has a few more weak spots than we thought, right? And a team like Indy, with the way they're playing, I think can exploit that. It sounds dumb because it's kind of a cliche term, but everyone was like, this is going to be a Cleveland Boston series, right? But Indy, they're playing with house money.
Yeah.
They're a young team who's just going to go out there and just 100%. Pedal to the floor the entire time, man, and that's a dangerous team in the playoffs.
All right, Chris Burkhardt, Chad, doing live here from the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton. It's at 10245 Southwest Canyon Road. Come out and join us. We're going to be on air up until 7 o'clock. The NBA Draft Lottery kicks off at 4 o'clock on ESPN. And they got 30 television screens in here. They feature the Timbers and Trailblazers, which is good. They've got the NFL Sunday Ticket, karaoke on Saturday and Sundays, and then trivia on Wednesday nights. And I can turn my head to the right, to the left, and I've got screens all around, which is nice. But we're going to hang out, and we'll have reaction to everything that takes place in the lottery. And then the games will begin, 4:30 Knicks and Celtics, followed by the Warriors and Timberwolves. And I really felt like the Warriors in that Game 3, if there was going to be a game they were going to win in the series without Steph, Game 3 looked like the one. But every time they had a chance to push their lead to double digits in that fourth quarter early, they couldn't come up with the big shot or the big three. And then Minnesota's pressure that they were able to put on them throughout the game I thought was really nice. But the one guy that's played really well in this playoffs for Minnesota has been Julius Randle. I thought early in the season, too much dribbling, too much him trying to find his offense. But now he's found the balance of, when to look for his shot, when to back his guy down low and take advantage of his size. And he did that in the first round as well against the Lakers. But I like the way he's playing right now. And he's putting himself in a position to where he's going into a contract year. He's gonna be able to make some big money. But I've been impressed with Randall.
Yeah, I think he's an interesting player, man, because he always gets kind of a bad rap, and there's people who don't like him for some reason, and he's always been good. And I think right now he's slowing his game down enough, and he has enough help around him where he doesn't have to press. He doesn't have to try too hard, and in doing so, I think he's found his comfort zone, right? And it's a lot easier to do that when you got a guy like Anthony Edwards on the same wearing the same uniform as you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you're absolutely right, man. I think he's been an absolute X factor the entire playoff series.
Yeah. Get the Scoot.
Showing off the Scoot Henderson shirt.
That's right.
The
Get the
good luck
Scoot shirt. Yep. The good luck shirt's on. And we'll see how things shake out tonight. But, dude, even if it's not Cooper Flagg, if the Blazers can just jump into the top 4, like think about that if they have access to one of the top 4 guys, even if it's not Cooper Flagg, to be able to add another legit player to the young core, I mean, that's big time.
This is a top 4 right now that I think can change everything for a team like Portland, and it doesn't even mean they have to draft a guy at that spot. I think there's a lot of value in having one of those top 4 picks. And we talked about this a little bit when they got Scoot, but I mean, you're talking about Scoot in a league that's just super heavy on guards, right? You know, point guards. When you get these guys like Cooper Flagg and these other guys who are just going to be stud athletes, there's a lot of value, and not just drafting at 3 or 4, but maybe coupling that with a piece and bringing in some young assets to help you that you think fit your timeline better or whatever you want. Again, the value, I think, is just off the charts.
You have any doubts about Flagg?
I don't. He's one of those rare prospects where I think you only have to watch one game of his and you know what he is. And you're like, oh, my gosh. This guy, he's NBA ready, and he's only going to get better, and he does so many things well. He moves incredibly well. He can put the ball down, create shots for himself, works well at the rim. He can extend the floor, better defensively than a lot of people. Like, he's a good basketball player, man. I have zero doubt on him.
And what's he stand at, like 6'9"?
Yeah.
So he's got great length. But what I noticed, too, especially throughout the tournament, his willingness to be coached. Like, John Shire was riding his ass hard multiple times throughout the tournament. And no reaction, no frustration. Like, he's very coachable as well. Like, he's one of those guys where I think you want him to be a part of your franchise because he's coachable. He's got the superstar talent, but I think he would blend in well with the locker room no matter where he goes.
I think so. I don't think he's a rock-the-boat guy, and he has that winning mentality. I also think it speaks to him, too, when you look at the tournament, right, where he goes down, has that scare of an injury, and then the timetable, like you don't know how long he's going to miss, and next thing you know, he's ramping it up, and he's back on the court probably a little bit quicker than people thought because it's that mentality, like I just want to be out there playing games and helping my team win, and that's exactly what you want on any team in this league.
Well, what'll be interesting to see, too, is, if the Blazers, one thing I'm wondering, too, if the Blazers stay, let's say they don't move up and they end up selecting a player at 10, I wonder if they'll take a player at 10 or if they might look to use that pick as a way to facilitate a potential deal that could be on the horizon.
I think that's the move. I think you look at if you're in the top, absolutely makes sense for them.
So if you're in the top 4, you take a player.
I think you take a player. There's still the avenue of trading him, but I think any of those top guys are really good. But I think if you end up with the 10 or 11, whatever you end up, I think you add that to a Jeremy Grant or whoever you're trying to get out, move pieces around. It makes it easier. You can bring assets in.
All right, NBA Draft Lottery coming up at 4 o'clock. We are live here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill, 10245 Southwest Canyon Road. And we got friends on hand here, Burkhardt.
Doug Fur in the house.
Doug Fur is in the house. Yeah, what's up, my brother? Doug Fur is in the house. So come on by and join us. We're going to take in the NBA Draft Lottery. We'll have live reaction throughout the course of the night. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Get in here, Chad, with our little headsets on.
There's a caller on hold.
There we go. Thanks, Doug. We got you, Tim in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Still there.
Douglas Furs bumping around right now. I've already gotten a couple of big hugs from him. The Trailblazers have swag. You can come hang out. We got the NBA Draft Lottery, which is coming up at 4 o'clock on ESPN. Telephone number 503-248-0620. Let's go out to the phones. Tim in Milwaukee, who's a huge Trailblazer fan, wanting to share his thoughts. Tim, welcome to the show. The stage is yours. Fire away.
Happy Draft Lottery Monday with Chad doing, Chris Burkhardt, and yours truly, Jack Wagon with you. I am the Rock the Boat guy. Turn it up, rip the knob off here on 620, where Milwaukee has no problem uprooting Dame and Giannis, but Chris Burkhardt 2 years ago told me that uprooting Dame was the wrong move. So I don't hold any grudges whatsoever. I have a question for you. I have questions for you professionals. Which lottery pick of the Portland Trailblazers has been the most positive, historically significant pick? Because we all have, whenever we talk about lottery picks in the Portland Trailblazers, everybody blasts us with the Jordan pick and the Odin pick and all that stuff. In your guys' opinion, which lottery pick in our franchise history has been the most historically significant in a positive manner in terms of NBA history?
I'd say Bill Walton. He won the championship. I know he was injured, and that was a sore subject, but at his moment in time where he won the title and then won the league MVP, I would say in such a short burst, even with the injuries, I would say that's probably the best story. What do you think about that one, Tim?
I think that AI is probably turning the corner in terms of my email, because I've got two celebrities in my email right now. I've got Sammy Davis Jr., one of them trying to sell me insurance, and also Carol Burnett trying to get my signature on a loan. So I know. I think AI is turning a corner, and I think the Blazers are turning a corner. I think we're going to get Cooper Flagg with the number 2 pick this afternoon. I think you guys have taken my call.
You got it. What do you think? Who has been the best lottery selection for the Trailblazers over the years? It's probably got to be Bill Walton, right?
I mean,
he produced the championship.
There's been some good ones. Clyde is pretty good, right? Obviously, Brandon Roy, I think it was phenomenal. The injury thing hurt his numbers there, and I guess it was a draft night trade, but still counts that, right? And so does LaMarcus Aldridge. Those are all up there for me. And then obviously Dame. I think Dame might be he's right there in that combo too. As the greatest Blazer of all time. So.
All right, so I would agree with your picks. So we got Walton, Dame, Clyde, obviously LaMarcus.
Right.
Again, what people have an issue with is when it comes to Clyde and LaMarcus, they have issues with the fact that both those guys wanted to play elsewhere. But
right. I
have an ability to separate the side stories and look at the production in a Trailblazer uniform.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's all I care about when I break these stuff down. And you can, I mean, I think there was an argument to be had that LaMarcus had a stretch there. He was one of the best big men in the entire game. So
what I admire most about LaMarcus is that he was very durable and was available almost on every night and played at a very high level. He was Mr. Automatic. He was very consistent in his delivery on the floor. Now, early on, and I was one of his critics, like he was a little bit he wasn't the type of big we wanted, right? He cared more about the fadeaway, wasn't as aggressive, but as time went on, he became more of an aggressive player, an underrated defender, and yeah he's great. I'm down. And plus, honestly, he was super cool to deal with. Like, I had a good working relationship with LaMarcus, so I was totally down with the guy.
Yeah.
I love him.
I am very fond of the L train.
Yeah. And if someone wants to leave town because Neil Olshey's here, I don't got a problem with that. I can see why someone might decide to jump ship. But what I heard, though, is that what I've been told, and I think the Godfathers mentioned this, is that LaMarcus had told Paul and Neil that he was going to come back and then bolted at the last second after they agreed to get rid of Batum and stuff. So I think that's where the, I don't know what side you believe, but yeah, LaMarcus was a great Trailblazer.
Yeah, I think it's always what sticks with people is when, people say things like they want to be the greatest Blazer of all time, and then, a couple months later they're gone. Like, okay, well, you've been lying to us, and that hurts. We've invested a lot of time in you, but I loved LaMarcus, man. Loved him.
All right, if you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number, 503-248-0620. You can also find us on social, Chris J. Burkhardt or at Chad in Rip City. Basically how this is going to go down, the NBA Draft Lottery is coming up at 4 o'clock So we will know shortly thereafter. The lottery will run up until about 4:30 before the first game, so it won't take us long to know where the Trailblazers are going to be selecting. Now, as Burkhart laid out, what you're looking for when the lottery kicks off, you want to make sure that all the teams that are behind Portland, which are Atlanta, Sacramento, Chicago, and Dallas, you want to make sure that they pop up in order when the cards are revealed. And then when you get to number 10, you do not want the Trailblazers to be revealed. If Portland is not there at 10 when they pop over the card, that means they've jumped up into the top 4, and then we can sit and wait to see where they're going to wind up in the top 4. So that's what we're looking for. And obviously the grand prize in this year's draft will be Cooper Flagg, who is going to be number 1, and he'll be the first American-born white player to go number 1 overall in 44 years. The last was a player selected by the Milwaukee Bucks and Ken Benson. So that's how long it's been. But Cooper Flagg, I mean, you all saw him play at Duke. There's a reason why people are salivating to get their hands on him, and that's why you saw so many teams go out of their way to tank throughout the course of the season to have access to a player like Cooper Flagg, including Utah, Washington, Charlotte, New Orleans, Philadelphia, and Brooklyn, to name a few.
Yeah.
And there were some teams that went really hard.
Really?
They went so hard that they
some-
don't deserve Cooper Flagg because they were so disgusting in their approach.
We saw some very egregious tanking this year. And with Cooper Flagg, I know it's obvious. Everyone can go like, well, like, Zion at Duke too did this. Well, Zion turned heads because of his freak athleticism. Right? And his highlight reel dunks and literally exploding shoes because he was putting so much force on the court. Cooper is turning heads with just pure basketball talent, man.
All right, Sean in Damascus just reached out. He said, Chad, I had a dream the Blazers got the number 1 pick. Maybe dreams can come true. They do sometimes. Dreams do come true. We had it happen with Greg Oden.
Yeah.
The only problem is Greg Oden didn't hold up his end of the bargain because of unfortunate injuries, but I think the Blazers in that lottery had a 5.3% chance.
Yeah, I don't know. If the Blazers get this, that means Chad's going to be like, anybody has a chance at anything. He's going to start tweeting it, share, and trying to live your dreams too. Yeah.
That's actually a good question. Let me ask you a question. Do you think if you were to put lottery odds on my opportunity to get with Cher, do you think it would be 3.7% chance? Like if I rolled up on Cher, would I have at least a 3.7% chance?
No, I think you might have been in the playoffs where you have a 0% chance of winning the lottery.
She's freaky enough where she might give me a shot at the title, though. Everyone, no, it's not going to happen. I think it could happen. I would say if you told me I had a 3.7% chance with Cher, it'd make me happy.
If I told you did and it was real, you'd be stoked. So you should be stoked at your chances of the first overall pick, too.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here. 503-248-0620. Rob Sipsky has reached out and wants to know if I've got any shareable information on Brian Noe. So I'll get to that next. And then we're going to kick off the lottery coverage on ESPN. We're live here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton, 10245 Southwest Canyon Road. The Blazers are here. Douglas Fur is here. Come out and join us. 2025 has just started on ESPN, and so we're going to walk through this as the teams are revealed. And just you want to give a couple of things to keep an eye on over the next few minutes as this thing kicks off, Burkhardt?
Well, like I've been telling you, the biggest thing here is you're just monitoring those first 4 teams that are going to be announced before the Trailblazers, right? And you are hoping that it is their name that you hear, because like if you get to Dallas at 11 and you hear Portland Trailblazers, that means Dallas moved up. If you hear any of the teams out of sync in that first 4, that means someone jumped Portland for sure, and that is definitely going to hamper the chances of getting in, because again, the odds of all of those teams jumping in really, really low. So you're watching and hoping it's those teams.
It just took me my 3rd try on the simulation on Tankathon.com for Portland to jump up to number 1.
The sim lottery is pretty fun, ain't it?
Yeah, the sim lottery is good. There's Cooper Flagg hanging out. He obviously is the prize pick in this year's NBA draft, but the lottery about to kick off. And for Portland, even if it's not number 1, just, a 17% chance to jump up into the top 4. That's big time. Just get into the top 4, baby.
Yeah, and you look at those top 4 picks, and there's a lot of athletes. There's guys who can score, and guys like Cooper Flagg, again, what makes him so intriguing is he could step into Portland right now and be the number 1 scoring option. He can be that star that Portland really, truly needs to add to this core, and that's why you want him if you're Portland, among many other reasons.
All right, the reveal is coming up in 14 minutes. That's when they're going to kick it off. The Blazers, during the exit interviews, Chauncey Billups talked about the possibility that the number 1 option is currently on the roster, and they may discover that as they continue the development, the in-house development with their young guys. When you look at the young guys of Scoot, Shaden, Klingon, Denny, and Tamani, do you think they have a number 1 on that roster potentially, or do you think it has to come from outside of what they have right now?
I think if you look at this roster as is, there's one guy that stands out as the guy that they want to be the number 1, and that's Shaden Sharp. I think if he becomes your number 1, your head guy, your leading scorer, it drastically changes the offense. It changes everything about your team. And you saw it over the last few weeks of the season, right, where he was putting together those 30-point games and the offense was moving, things were burning and churning. That's what you saw, that glimpse. And if he can build on that, then you're in a really, really good spot. People have talked about Denny. I like Denny, but I just don't know if he's the true number 1 in the long term. But I'd still look at Shaden Sharp and say that's the guy that if I'm management, I want to see more from.
Yeah, so I agree. I think of the ceiling. Like, to me, I think Shaden's got the highest ceiling, just based on athleticism, overall talent, his ability, or what appears to be ability to be a two-way player. Denny Avdia is terrific, and he's going to get better. That's what's exciting about all the young guys is that I still think there's room and improvement in all of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Including Denny Avdia.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you. Denny's going to only get better. It's why he was getting votes in most improved player. I mean, you saw the jump from year 1 to year 2 with Tumani Kamara, and I think he is only scratching the surface of how good he can be because he's become so much more confident offensively. If he continues to get better defensively, watch out. And then you just go down the list of all the players, right? Donovan Klingon's going to get better. Scoot showed progression. So there's a lot of players on there that are going to get better.
Were you here when the Blazers won the lottery with Greg Oden?
Well, yeah, I was.
Or were you down at Oregon?
I was down at Oregon.
Okay.
I was down in the Huge.
The Huge? Is that what they're calling it now?
The Huge. I don't know if that's what they call it now. That's what they called it 20 years ago when I was there.
Oh, my goodness. All right, come on by. We're here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton, getting ready for the NBA Draft Lottery. The reveal is coming up in 11 minutes and 42 seconds, so we're pretty excited about this in hopes that the Trailblazers, who have a 16.9% chance to jump into the top 4 and a 3.7% chance at number 1, can have access to Cooper Flagg. Because, I mean, do you realize, like, if they were to get access to number 1, like, what it would do to this town? Like,
oh my
even
gosh.
tonight, like, people would go, they would lose their minds.
If they won the lottery tonight, it would be wild. It would be wild.
It'd be wild.
I mean, I might have a hard time getting home. There might be parades down I-5 and all this stuff. Blazers
But
fans
imagine what
go
that would
ham.
mean for the franchise, because you instantly become must-see television. You will sell a ton of season tickets overnight with the arrival of Cooper Flagg and knowing that you're going to have access to the number 1 pick. Like, It does everything for you. And then it solidifies the young group that you've got. And then you look back and you're like, man, Joe Cronin selected Cooper Flagg, Shaden Sharp, Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, and then pulled in Tamani Kamara and Denny Avdi in trades. Now that's pretty good track record for a GM.
That'd be pretty nice. There's still a lot on the line here, but see, just the thought of it gets you excited, though, man. And it would reinvigorate this fan base overnight.
Who do you like in the games tonight, starting with New York and Boston? Do you think the Celtics even up the series, or do the Knicks play their first really good game of the series and go up 3-1? How do you see it playing out?
I think the Celtics even it up. You talked about them bouncing back, finding their shot a little bit in Game 3, and I just don't see them playing as bad as they played early in that series for the long run. Tatum's too good. Brown's too good. Pritchard's going to find his shot. I think they even this one up.
Man, they're making life tough on Jalen Brunson, too. I mean, he's having to work really hard to get to his spots and get his shots up. But the weird part is, like, I would expect, like, one game where the Knicks are going to hit shots and be in a good flow. I just don't know when that's going to come.
Yeah.
How can you be down 20 in all 3 games and have a 2-1 series lead? That's wild.
That is pretty wild, and it shows just what the Celtics have done and their inability, as it were, to get things flowing. But you're right. Can they put it together for a game, them being the Knicks? And if they do, they're a hard team to beat. But I think in tonight's game, I'm definitely in Boston.
Okay, what do you think about the Warriors and Timberwolves later on tonight?
You know what? I think the Warriors are done. I just without Steph, it changes so much of that team. And you talked about trying to hold a lead late, not having that big shot. That's because one of the best big shot makers in the history of the game is not on the floor for you. One of the best clutch shot makers, a guy who has unlimited range, who has put you on his back and won championships. I mean, I mean, no disrespect, but I'm not sitting here going, oh, Podziemski's going to get me out of a big spot. Kuminga's going to get me out of a big spot. Without Curry, it just changes too much.
All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number.
Hey, they're passing out rally towels. You got to get here right now.
We got rally towels? Oh, Rip City runs deep, baby.
Rally.
That's what I'm talking about. Rip City runs deep. Love that. I got my Scoot Henderson shirt on. You got the rally towel. We're ready to rock
That is
tonight.
a massively underrated Scoot shirt, too. It's in the old school. They need to bring that old school design back a little bit more. Those are all good.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Shacker, let's go ahead and take a break right now. The reveal is slated to start in 8 minutes. And this way, we're going to be on air throughout the entire reveal so we don't miss anything. So we'll come back, and then the reveal will happen, and we're going to find out here in just a few minutes where the Trailblazers are going to be selecting in the upcoming NBA draft. And we pray. Look, all I'm asking is, people, just get on your hands and knees and just beg the good Lord above that he can bless Rip City because, frankly, we deserve it, right? After all the torment and the torture, like, we deserve Cooper Flagg, for crying out loud. So pray. We're going to come back, and the reveal is going to take place, and we'll get after it. That's Chris Burkhardt. I'm Chad Doing. You got the Rip City Drive. We're live here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton off Canyon Road. Come join us. We're going to be on air up until 7 o'clock.
and call it toast.
All right, Rip City Drive, Chris Burkhardt and Chad doing live from the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton off Canyon Road. The envelopes have just been delivered to the stage, so now we're going to wait and see the reveal.
Heart rate's up.
That's right. Here's where it starts to get real exciting. All right, and as Chris Burkhardt pointed out, what we're looking for here, we want all the teams to go in order. So you want to hear Atlanta, Sacramento, Chicago, Phoenix, San Antonio. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to redo that. Okay.
That's right. That's what you wanted. He said San Antonio. That's because that Atlanta pick goes to San Antonio.
That's right. It's pick number 13.
We got the
So
Atlanta,
the Atlanta
Hawks.
Hawks. So
Perfect.
everything's in order so far.
Yep.
We want to hear Chicago next. So number 12. All right, Chicago. Now it's time for Dallas. We want to hear Dallas here, not Portland, for the 11th pick.
No!
And the Portland Trailblazers have fallen back to number 11.
Oh. Dallas moves up.
So Dallas jumps up. All right. Dallas has jumped up. So that means Dallas is in the top 4?
That means Dallas is in the top 4.
Well, and once again, it never goes in order. All right, so far, San Antonio, Atlanta, Chicago at 12, Portland number 11, Houston number 10.
And the Spurs just jumped up too.
And the Spurs have jumped up as well. Of course they did.
Oh, my gosh.
All right. All right, so what are we looking for here, Burkhardt?
Brooklyn.
All right, so
We've
Brooklyn.
had 2 teams jump up, so the next pick is good. It's Philadelphia.
All right. So 2 teams.
Philly's jumped in.
So Philly has jumped in. So 3 teams have moved up. They're now going to reveal number 6. Dallas, San Antonio, and the Washington Wizards. Philadelphia. Philadelphia is in the top 4. All right.
Wow.
All right, so what are the teams that have moved up now? Dallas, San Antonio,
and Philly.
and Philly. All right. Utah is going to fall in at number 5. So the top 4 is left to be revealed, and it's going to come down now to a combination of Charlotte, Philadelphia, San Antonio, and Dallas.
Oh, I said it the whole time. What we
I'll
didn't
tell you which
want.
franchise doesn't deserve the top pick. That would be the Dallas Mavericks.
No, I said it. They can't.
The
They
Dallas
can't.
Mavericks, after their mismanagement, you've got to be kidding me.
No.
All right. And Cooper Flagg is about to find out his fate when the top 4 is revealed. So
Oh.
Portland, unfortunately, falls back to number 11.
Wow. Told you that's the one thing we did not want to hear going in was that Dallas pick announced as the Trailblazers, and here we are. Oh, my gosh.
Okay, if you look at a current mock draft right now, the number 11th pick is Jace Richardson out of Michigan State. But as we were talking about now, with Portland sitting at number 11, that could open up the possibility, if they don't want to take a player, to where they could look to move the pick.
I think that just makes the most sense.
Meaning you could attach the pick to, let's say, Jeremy Grant or Anthony Simons,
Yeah.
and then you could look to do some type of package deal to where you're getting some more of those young assets in return.
Yeah, you would hope so. I don't know if using that pick is I don't know if 11 is a game changer right now. The top 4 was going to give you a game changer on day 1. But if you have to attach that pick now, it gives you some wiggle room to do some movement on draft night, I think.
All right, so what do we know now? So Portland has dropped back to number 11, the worst case scenario. And the teams that are going to be up there in the top 4. So we've got Charlotte, Philadelphia, San Antonio, and Dallas.
Well, I did 2 of the teams. You asked me if it wasn't Portland, who would I want to see, and 2 of the teams I said were Philly and San Antonio, and here we are.
And about how brutal is that for both Utah and Washington, to where they're not even going to be in the top 4?
Okay, this is why I have been long firm on this, Chad. This is why I am not on Team Tank. I hate Team Tank. Look at the teams that totally sailed their season away and tried to lose on purpose as much as they could. They're not sitting there with a chance at this pick.
Yeah, with the lottery system, it doesn't necessarily pay to tank and give yourself the best chance, because now you've got multiple teams who were way down the list who have jumped up now and are going to have an opportunity here in a couple of minutes to have Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. Also, it's interesting. Top four. I mean, Charlotte, I think, the a dumpster fire of a team at times, but also that's the type of guy who could change their prospects moving forward. So this just got real interesting.
Okay, of the 4 teams remaining, Charlotte, a 14% chance going in at the number 1 pick. Philadelphia, a 10.5% chance at number 1. And then we've got San Antonio, who had a 0.7% chance at number 1. They have jumped up, my friend.
No, they jumped up with their 8
Oh,
picks.
with the
They had a
6%.
6%, right?
So 6%. And then who's the other squad? Dallas, 1.8%.
Yeah.
1.8% for the Mavs.
And think about that if you're San Antonio. If San Antonio lucks in here and gets the number 1 overall pick, not only do they have the number 1 pick, they have another lottery pick there at 14. So, man, that's just nasty work, San Antonio.
They got a chance to get super rich. And they've already got Wemby. They've already got De'Aaron Fox in the deal that was made. If you add Cooper Flag to that, that's a nasty lineup. In fact, Sean and Sandy reached out to me earlier today and said if it's not Portland, I'd love to see Cooper Flag team up with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox.
Right, and you also got Jeremy Sohan and Vassell. Like, you got some good young players there, man.
All right, so if you're just joining us, unfortunately, the Portland Trailblazers did not move up in the lottery. We're waiting for the top 4 teams to be revealed. The Trailblazers fell back to number 11. The Dallas Mavericks have jumped up, as have the Philadelphia 76ers and the San Antonio Spurs, along with Charlotte. So now we're going to wait and see who's going to get the top pick overall. The top 4 is about to be revealed. Chris Burkhardt and I are broadcasting live from the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton. We're off Canyon Road at 10245 Southwest Canyon Road. You can stop by and join us. The Trailblazers are on hand. Douglas Fur is here, and you can enter to win tickets for the opener. And they've got other swag as well. But very unfortunate news. But I think that we knew that dropping back to number 11 was a pretty good possibility going in. We just didn't want to believe it, man. I still can't believe that, though. How about Dallas jumping up with a 1.8% chance at number 1?
I said it. That's the team that can't get number 1, man.
They don't deserve it. The
Nico's
mismanagement of their franchise.
He is. He's going to think he did right.
All right, here it is. We're about to get the top 4 revealed. Cooper Flag is on hand. Of course, he'll know which team he's going to be going to as soon as the top 4 is revealed. And there's Daryl Morey and the brass from Philadelphia, along with Nick Nurse, their head coach.
And Elton Brand, too. Look at that. There's
Yes. All right, here we are. Hornets, Sixers, Spurs, and Mavericks. Hornets, Sixers, Spurs, and Mavericks are the 4 teams remaining. And we're about to get the top 4 revealed. Rolando Blackman, the great Maverick, is representing Dallas on stage. And here it comes. We're about to get the top 4. And we'll see how things are going to shake out. Charlotte of the 4 remaining with the best chance. And here comes number 4 from Mark Tatum. And the 4th pick is going to be Charlotte.
Oh, my God.
So now Charlotte's going to be selecting number 4. That means Mavericks, Spurs, and Sixers. The Sixers are number 3.
No,
it's going to be Dallas or San Antonio.
No.
Dallas or San Antonio. And here it comes. San Antonio number 2. And the Dallas Mavericks get the top pick.
This is unreal.
Dallas going in had a 1.8% chance to jump up to number 1, and they got it. 1.8% chance.
Wow. Traded Luka and then got number 1. That was right there. That was Cooper Flag going, where are they going to trade me to in 6 years?
And that means Nico Harrison and Patrick DeMont are going to have freaking access to Cooper Flag.
Hey, thanks to the fans for laughing at me, not you. Come on, that was a good one.
See, what sucks is the Maverick fans deserve Cooper Flag, but the ownership group and Nico Harrison don't.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
And yes, you're correct. Here in about 2 years, Patrick DeMont and Nico Harrison will trade Cooper Flag, saying it's in the best interest of the Mavericks because offense wins championships. Holy cow. 1.8% chance. I mean, think about that. The Dallas Mavericks, like one of the dumbest franchises on the planet right now, with Nico Harrison and Patrick DeMont. They trade away Luka Doncic for a first-round pick and Anthony Davis. And they make a mockery of professional sports over the last couple of months trying to justify their move. And now with a 1.8% chance, they launch all the way up into the top spot.
Unbelievable.
And one final swoop, like that totally corrects their entire disaster that they created.
It's just pure dumb luck right now.
And now you know Nico Harrison's going to be walking around acting like, it was all in the making.
It was all part of the plan. This is exactly what we anticipated.
Oh, my gosh. You've got to be flipping kidding me. Seriously, of all teams, the Mavericks. Aren't you torn? Like, I feel like Maverick fans deserve this, but Patrick Dumont and freaking Nico Harrison don't because they're dumb. The Adelson group, complete buffoons.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt, man.
Oh, my gosh.
This is brutal.
All right, so the Trailblazers fall back to number 11, but the big surprise here, nobody that had a top 3 chance, equal chance of 14% to jump to number 1 and a 52.1% chance to jump into the top 4. Utah, Washington, and Charlotte all left on the outside looking in as Philadelphia and then San Antonio and then, of course, the Dallas Mavericks, your top 3. Unbelievable. That is unreal. And the Hornets are going to be number 4. But that's your point, Chris. Utah, Washington, and Charlotte did everything they could to put themselves in a position for Cooper Flagg, and none of the top 3 teams in the lottery with the best chances will be selecting inside of the top 3. None of them.
No, they all fell out. And again, that's why I've never been a fan of tanking. Don't like it. And again, a team with a 1.8% chance just jumped all the way up. So again, the way it just plays out, just wild.
All right, the Blazers now, we know where they're going to be picking, number 11. So, I mean, my guess is the Blazers, all options are on the table now, right? They, because we know that Mike Schmitz and Joe Cronin, they do a great job of scouting, and they got their eyes on many different players. So maybe there's someone there that they see that they want to go out and add to the team. But if not, you got the option to be able to use the pick and maybe attach to one of your veteran players and move it. Options are a good thing.
Or you just hope Cooper Flagg has a Shadur Sanders type slide and he's available at 11.
How bad would his interviews have to be to have a slide all
They
the way
would
to
have
11?
to be so bad. There's no way. There's no way.
I could sit down with Cooper Flagg. He could tell me to my face, F off, and he could be as dumb as a rock, and I'm still picking him.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is.
But seriously, Dallas doesn't deserve Cooper Flagg. They mismanaged their entire franchise.
It's so stupid. It is so stupid. They traded the face of their franchise for no good reason. He had a PR nightmare with every interview he did. He tried to tell you how stupid you were as a fan or any talking head. He knew what he was doing, and then they luck in to getting the number 1 overall pick. It's unbelievable.
You know what's amazing, too, is like this one stroke of luck with 1.8% chance to jump to number 1. It's pretty much saved Nico Harrison's job probably. Because now all the attention is going to be on Cooper Flagg, and people will forget about the Luka trade.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Even the fans are going to get one look at Luka or one look at Cooper, and they're going to forget about the madness existing with the Luka Doncic trade.
Yeah, and this is only the second time, according to my notes, too, that the number 11 pick has ended with the number 1 overall.
What was the year before?
1993.
All the way back to 93. Who was it?
Which, back in 1993, that was Chris Webber, Orlando Magic. Traded to Golden State famously. But that's who the number 1 overall pick was that year.
Oh, I forgot that Orlando. Yeah, that's right. Orlando drafted Chris Webber, and then he was dealt. Crazy.
That's how far you got to go back. That's wild.
1993 is the last time the 11th team in the lottery jumped up.
Yep. That's
Good
the only other time
gracious.
it's happened.
I just can't believe it's Dallas. They don't deserve this. Like, dude, like Nico Harrison's going to walk around acting like he knew this was going to happen, too.
Oh, yeah. It was all part of the plan. But now, and the worst part is when it starts to work, because now you're going to, Cooper Flagg next to Anthony Davis and Kyrie, like, yeah, that's fun. I like that lineup.
Yeah, all of a sudden I kind of like their squad.
Yeah.
With their length and athleticism. And if you get Kyrie healthy again, and then you got AD out there with Cooper Flagg, like that's a workable squad.
And two things can be true. You can like their squad and say that they fit together and they look nice, but you can also say that trading Luka was stupid.
And how about San Antonio's good fortune, too? Screw the Spurs, man.
There was an audible sigh of relief here when San Antonio was popped there at number 2. No basketball fan here wanted to see Cooper Flagg and Victor Wembanyama for the next 20 years.
I mean, was this like the NBA's parting gift to Greg Popovich for his retirement?
It might have been.
Here, we're going to move San Antonio up to number 2. Unbelievable. And then, of course, Portland drops back to number 11. That's typical, man. But seriously, that is some wild crap. For Dallas to be as mismanaged as they are, and guys about to have their heads put in the guillotine, and then they luck out and get Cooper Flagg. Because, dude, people are going to forget. Cooper Flagg's going to hit the floor, and he's going to be so good that people are going to be like, we're okay now. We're good.
Oh, yeah. Everything's good.
Like, would you trade Cooper Flagg for Luka Doncic?
Right now? Like, yeah, because Luka's freaking good.
No, but I'm saying that if you had your choice right now between Luka and Cooper Flagg, who would it be?
I mean, I'd take Luka. I like Cooper Flagg as much as next time, but I'd take Luka Doncic. Took his team to the NBA Finals. One of the best players in the league.
I know. I'm just saying the idea of having a two-way player like Cooper Flagg is pretty delightful.
It is going to be nice. It is going to be nice.
Yeah, he's got to prove it now, and it's amazing that he's going to be the first American-born white guy drafted in 44 years. But I can't believe it. I hate it because Patrick Dumont is an idiot, and Nico Harrison is an idiot, and I don't like the fact that idiots get over and have a chance at redemption like this. They're dumb. It's one of the dumbest franchises on the planet.
I mean,
only in America can you be a complete fool and get rewarded like this. It's absolute garbage, man.
It's just
it's garbage.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. I don't know how to feel right now.
See, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like the Blazers did things respectfully this year. You know, they tried to win. They pushed it right up until the end. The Dallas Mavericks go out there and try to single-handedly just grenade their franchise. And yet Blazers fall back to 11, and Dallas jumps up to number 1.
Right. And we're watching, as we're getting ready to watch New York and Boston, and New York is led by Jalen Brunson, another guy that Dallas just kicked out the door, said, yeah, don't got room for you, and he's become an absolute superstar.
Oh, my goodness. Unbelievable. And don't forget, Nico Harrison's the same guy that butchered the Nike presentation to Steph Curry.
Right.
When he left KD's name up there on the screen.
Gosh.
It's just total mismanagement, and now they get rewarded with Cooper Flagg.
Unreal.
And that just makes the Western Conference that much deeper, too.
Unbelievable.
If you would have told me before that Dallas was going to jump up to number 1, I'd be like, get the bleep out of here, man.
Right. When you're talking about Dallas, it was a team that was in the play-in hunt until the last weeks, right?
All right, but what are your first thoughts on Portland dropping back to number 11? Like, how do you assess that situation for the Trailblazers?
Gut just tells me that it's not going to be a Portland pick. I think the best you have assets on your team right now that you're going to have to try to move off of for various reasons, right? And some of those assets are going to be harder to move than others, and I think you just ran into a situation where that becomes a little bit harder to move. Now, if you have to attach a pick now to a Jeremy Grant or whatever to open up the space for Denny to be that starter, that's what you have to do, but I think you're going to see draft night trades, and I think Portland is not going to own that pick when it's all said and done.
Gosh, unbelievable. All right, just to recap, your top 4. Dallas will be selecting number 1. They will take Cooper Flagg. Number 2 is San Antonio. Number 3 is Philadelphia. And the Charlotte Hornets, Mr. Bad Luck team, Charlotte Hornets, will be taking number 4. Both Utah and Washington fall outside of the top 3. They were 2 of the 3 teams, along with Charlotte, that had the best chances to jump up into the top 4 and have access to number 1. That is unbelievable. I mean, really, like, this lottery result has saved the ownership group and Nico Harrison in Dallas. Like, literally, like, that was their Hail Mary.
It was.
They just saved their asses on pure luck.
It's a great way of putting it. It 100% was a Hail Mary, because you know what? Because now they're going to sit there and be like, yeah, trading Luka was stupid, but you know what? I'm a little bit over it now. It's okay. I really like Coop. I like the way this team's going. Things are all right. It was a Hail Mary for the win last second.
Gosh, that is unreal. Unreal. And now what's going to happen is they'll get Cooper Flagg. Dallas is going to be really good, assuming that they can be healthy. That's a big assumption. And then Nico Harrison's going to be walking around like he's the man. Don't you hate that?
Oh, my gosh. Executive of the Year material right there.
Unreal. That's crazy. All right, you can jump on board 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. At least the one good thing is about Cooper going to Dallas is that the storylines and the drama around it, they should be a competitive basketball team. So it's going to be nice to see him playing for a relevant franchise in the Western Conference with a chance to go to the postseason. That's much better than being lost in a place like Washington.
I mean, look what it did for Sarr this year. Guy comes in, he's a top guy, and everyone's hyped to see him. No one got to watch him because he played on a team that was terrible.
Well, same thing with Denny Avdia. I mean, he was a good player at Washington, but no one knew about it because no one watches Wizards basketball. But it's going to make Cooper Flagg relevant. He's going to a big market. That's actually good for the league if you think about it, because you get a player in a bigger market with the storylines around Nico and the ownership group and Luka. Like, just the fact when Dallas and LA play each other next year, that's going to be fun. Like, I like that type of drama.
Yeah, we're just assuming that between now and the draft day, Nico isn't stupid enough to trade it or do something dumb.
That's a good point.
I mean, he has a track record, so.
Now, if he wants to seal his fate.
Could you imagine?
Oh, my gosh.
We wanted to bring in a couple more assets that were defensive-minded to put around, so we traded the number 1 overall pick, moved back to 5.
Dude, you're so right. He's actually dumb enough to do that, where
Yeah.
he could, like, trade the rights to Cooper Flagg and then double down on defensive guys.
Yeah. Maybe that's where Joe Cronin's salivating right now. He's like, oh, they need a little extra shooting. I'm going to give him Jeremy.
That's a good
I'm going
point.
to give him Jeremy in the 11th pick.
It's like Cronin. Call Nico, all right? He might be open to something really dumb. You might be able to talk him into trading Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, you should. You should.
And then what Joe could do is he'd be like, hey, don't tell anyone you're opening this up for a trade. We got to keep it quiet.
Yep, absolutely. See?
Now you're working it.
Yep.
Gosh darn it. All right, Trailblazers drop back to number 11. Mavericks, Spurs, Sixers, Hornets, Jazz at 6, Jazz at 5, Wizards at 6, Pelicans at 7, Nets, Raptors, Rockets at 10, Trailblazers at 11, followed by the Bulls, the Hawks, and the Spurs. So the Trailblazers were the first team not to come up in order as they fall back to number 11. Good gracious. All right, any other thoughts? What's going through your mind right now?
I feel like that's just fitting when you're already just struggling with everything that's going on and with the Blazers and want them to choose a path. That the first team that fell back in the draft was the Blazers. That's just pain.
All right, according to this graphic by ESPN, the Mavericks win the lottery, get the number 1 pick in the draft. The team had a 1.8% chance to win the lottery, 4th longest odds by a winner in the lottery of all time.
That's
and
wild.
what a draft to do it when you got Cooper Flagg coming in.
Yeah, it's something else, man. It's something else. But again, this just goes back to just my main point. I've said it a million times on courtside and game day and all that stuff. I hate tanking, Chad. It makes no sense to me with the way the lottery is set up. Anyone can climb in, and yet another year where the teams who entered in the top 3 spots didn't end in the top 3 spots because someone always jumps up. And not only did someone jump up, 3 teams jumped up.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. Like if you're in the NFL and you know that if you lose and have the worst record, you'll get the number 1 pick, it makes perfect sense. If you got some type of superstar quarterback that's coming out the following year, you can take that route, and it makes sense. But with the lottery, with the top 3 teams having the equal percentage, and the fact that it never goes in order, you're right. There's no guarantee. Like, look at Dallas. They're a perfect example. 1.8% chance compared to 14% to the top 3 teams.
Insanity.
And how do you feel if you're a Jazz fan? You had to sit and watch that crappy basketball all year only to see your team fall back.
If you're a Jazz fan, you're extra frustrated, especially off the, no, again, it sounds disrespectful, but unlike Washington and Charlotte, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that the Utah Jazz were a playoff team with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, right? And things were looking good, and Joe Ingles, everything was nice. You're like, we could get back to that. We have the history, John Stockton, Karl Malone. No, not now. You tanked it all away and didn't even get rewarded for it.
All right, we're going to try and recover from this. The big story, of course, the Trailblazers have fallen back to number 11, and the Dallas Mavericks, with a 1.8% chance, have jumped up. They will get the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft, which is going to be on June 25th. That's draft night, June 25th. The Mavericks will have the number 1 pick, followed by the Spurs, followed by the Sixers and the Hornets, and the Trailblazers fall back to number 11. If you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. We're hanging out here at the, where are we right now?
The Pit Stop.
Pit Stop Bar and Grill. It's 10245 Southwest Canyon Road in Beaverton. You can stop by and say hi. The Trailblazers are on hand. We got Douglas Fir bumping around, and we'd be happy to hang out with you. The games are getting ready to start. Knicks, Celtics, the first game coming up, followed by the Wolves and Warriors. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Chris Burkhardt and Chad Doing with you here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. go out to Pat in Portland. Pat, I appreciate the phone call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. What's on your mind?
Well, I want to find out from you guys now that all the drama is over. Do we have any chance of picking up a good free agent before next season? And if we do, who it would be? Or do we have any chance at all of making a trade with Milwaukee, giving them some veterans and maybe some draft picks in the next few years? What's your guys' thoughts?
I appreciate the phone call. If the Blazers make any big moves, it's not going to come via free agency. It will come via trade with their veteran assets. But they're not going to be big spenders in free agency. They don't have the room under the cap to be able to do that. So any big moves, you're going to look for the trades, which could begin as early as draft night, like we saw last year with the acquisition of Denny Avdia. And in regards to Milwaukee, I assume he's talking about Giannis. I don't think the Blazers have the package or the players or the assets to be able to bring in a player like Giannis.
No, I don't think they have that, but I do think they have the assets and the players to maybe be the third team to help facilitate something like that. And so I'd watch that, but yeah, I don't think they're getting in the Giannis sweepstakes.
All right, let's go out to Jennifer in Salem. Jennifer, I appreciate the phone call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. What's on your mind?
Hey, it just makes me mad. It feels like every year small market teams get shafted in this, and because it feels like the small market teams always fall in the draft. Well, except for the year that we pick, that we always mess up the draft, of course. But it feels like I wish they'd put the lottery how they do it. I wish they'd broadcast it because it feels like it'd make it more authentic. Because I feel like they're rigging it.
Well, Jennifer, what I can tell you is
Dallas.
Yeah,
Dallas messed it up. They messed up their team, and so they made them the number one pick. And you screwed up your team, so now you get the number one pick, so you don't lose all your fan base.
Well, it's funny, Jennifer, you're probably not the only person that thinks that, because if you want to go real, if we want to get out the tinfoil caps and go conspiracy for a moment, think about this. There are people that believe, and I've talked to them, there's someone I was talking to down in Dallas that believes that because the trade was so awful to get rid of Luka, right, Jennifer, that it was an agreement between Nico Harrison and the Mavericks and the NBA to get Luka to L.A. because they had too many big-time stars in smaller markets, like Giannis being in Milwaukee, Luka being in Dallas. You didn't have your big-time stars in bigger markets, so the thought was that they did the NBA at large by trading Luka to the Lakers to get a big-time star in the market to make it better for the NBA with the new TV contract that came in to make sure the ratings stayed up. And maybe now this is the payback by the NBA to give them access to Cooper Flagg if you want to go tinfoil cap.
Well, that checks with me. That makes sense and then this makes sense. See, that's what I'm saying. Just make it transparent and put it. But of course, they would never do that. Just is frustrating for all the Utahs and the Portlands and everybody out there. Of course, Utah falls down to fifth. And they have a 1.7% chance to get number one, and they get really? It just doesn't check out. It doesn't pass the small test, but okay.
Well, Jennifer, I appreciate the phone call. And, in regards to transparency, what the league does, I forgot the name of the corporation, but there's actually a what is it called? It's what's the group that runs the lottery, Burkhardt? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I don't know that off the top of my head. That's a good question.
It's a firm who runs the NBA draft lottery. It's a firm that runs it. It's Ernst & Young. So results of the lottery will be conducted privately in Chicago and coordinated by the firm Ernst & Young and then shared publicly, on ESPN. That's what we got today. But what they do is they bring in representatives from all the teams, and they get to watch the process of the ping pong balls popping out. So I don't know how transparent that is, but I know Sean Highkin was allowed to be in the room and focused on that during the Wemby draft a couple years ago.
He was in the room today. Go check our social media. There's a video on there right now that we just posted, his reaction live from the room. I believe when you go in there, too, they take your phones, all your technology. You're not connected to the outside world when you're inside that room. But also the whole conspiracy of like, oh, they had to move Luka to a big market. Dallas is the number 4 market in the nation, so it's not as if Dallas was a small market. Oklahoma City is one of the best teams in the league. They're one of the smallest markets in the NBA. San Antonio just netted the 2nd overall pick, got Wemby a few drafts ago. They are a smaller market than Portland. So I'm not buying into the whole full-on conspiracy tinfoil hat theory.
You don't buy into the idea that they were doing Dallas a large by trading Luka to L.A. to get a big-time star with the Lakers?
I don't think
and
it
then
was
repaying him with the number 1 pick in the lottery?
I'm not buying into it. I agree that I agree with Jennifer that it might smell fishy. I'm not buying it yet, though, because I'm just not yet.
No, I'm just mad that the Mavericks got rewarded for incompetence.
That is ridiculous.
Like, Patrick DeMont's a complete buffoon. Listening to him talk makes my spine hurt, and then Nico Harrison's an idiot.
Yes.
And so I don't like stupidity to be rewarded with such greatness.
Right.
It's like, here, you guys make the worst decisions possible and ruin your franchise. Here's Cooper Flagg. I mean, that's like the ultimate, like, washing of all sins is that they get Cooper Flagg. That's unbelievable to me. You can be so dumb and just so awful at your job, and you get Cooper Flagg, and now everyone's going to forget. Are you kidding me?
Hey, we've seen people be awful at their jobs and get rewarded before.
I know. I'm one of those guys. But who cares? All right, we'll come back, and we're going to be joined by another friend of mine, Big. I'm going to make him put on the headset whether he wants to or not. Come out and join us here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton. They got 30 televisions. I'm looking at half of them right now. It's awesome. Timbers and Blazers are featured here. NFL Sunday Ticket, karaoke on Saturday and Sunday. And hey, Brendan Slaughter, I know you love this, trivia on Wednesday nights. He's a big trivia guy.
Checkered pass on the YouTube chat wants to know if Adam Silver has been gifted a jet recently. Good timely reference there,
He needs to
Checkered.
be gifted a suntan bed, man. It's like Skeletor is scaring me. Can you mix in some sun? What, does he not see the sun? You would figure a guy with that much cash might get outside once in a while. All right, we'll come back, and when we do, we'll continue the discussion. Dallas gets the pick number 1. The Trailblazers fall back to 11, and Jennifer and Salem is pissed off. You got the Rip City Drive.
Is credit card debt ruining your life? Did you know you
Does Adam Silver have AIDS?
for much less than you owe? JetBlue has helped people just like you resolve millions of dollars of high-interest credit card debt. They can help with payment relief, the burden of rising inflation, and have a large portion of your debt wiped clean. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card,
Not the Magic Johnson AIDS, like real AIDS.
save you thousands.
Dude, you know what's so crazy about that? Like I remember where I was at when he announced that. We were all talking about. We all thought Magic was going to be dead a long time ago.
The JetBlue Success Guarantee. We don't get paid.
But he wasn't
my knowledge on AIDS.
He didn't take the Fauci advice on the AIDS, though. He got the good drugs. Does that sound okay in your ears? Talk to me.
Can you hear me now?
You're loud and clear, baby. What's up?
The call is free. The consultation is free.
Can you believe that, though? Like, all the Dallas fans, even though they want to kill Nico, they'll forget once they see Cooper Flagg take the floor.
Yeah.
They'll be so happy that Flagg's out there playing, though, they'll forget about it. Unbelievable. Did you work today?
Yeah, normal work day today.
What time do you start?
7.
Oh my gosh.
Off at 3.
From 12 to 2 p.m. and donate non-perishable food items which will serve people right here in your community.
Dude, yesterday was so awesome. I can't believe on a Sunday, I thought for sure it was going to be like a 5-hour round, and we get out there. Even with that slow group in front of us, we still got done at a decent time. It was perfect.
Yeah. It was like 4.5.
The best part was driving over there, like the traffic. There was hardly any cars out there.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Beautiful out there.
We can handle all your hardscape and landscape needs and bring your yard to life with beautiful outdoor life. Don't wait. Check out our website at bythewall.com. That's bythewall.com. Or give us a call today to schedule your free estimate. CCB 514.
The Blazers were one combination off again. The Blazers, listen to this, Josh, from Ben Golliver. The Mavericks won the lottery with the ping pong ball combination of 10, 14, 11, and 7. The Blazers would have won if the last ball had been 6. The Wizards would have won if the last ball had been 1. They're one combination off.
Wow.
That's typical.
Including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services provided by Henyon & Walsh Asset Management. Securities offered by Henyon & Walsh Inc. Member FINRA SIPC.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur.
Hey, Shacker, is anyone on?
Check for infections and tuberculosis.
Sean and
Got
Sandy,
Sophia, 3.
Dylan,
3
Sean,
on
and
hold.
Tony.
There's nothing like clear
Disappointed.
There's nothing like
Small
better
markets did
movement,
well.
and that
No
means
conspiracy.
everything.
Brought to you by Goldberg Jones. Divorce for Men. 1-800-DIVORCE.
All right, Rachel has just chimed in. I thought she said I cussed on YouTube, but I did not. She was just warning me that we can still hear you.
Hey, you know, they could hear us talking about the Ben Golliver tweet and all that stuff because, you know, sometimes I forget to mute. I got a lot going on, but, you know.
Dude, and I wasn't the only one that thought that I wasn't the only one talking about this potential nonsense with the Dallas Mavericks and the NBA. I've had a couple of people hit me up. Mark Berman from the New York Post says, I predicted Adam Silver owed Dallas a favor for putting Luka Doncic in Hollywood. Debt repaid as Mavericks win the lottery for
All
Cooper.
All right, Jennifer, I'll buy it. I'm getting texts too, but it's from my buddies telling me, hey, you know it's a conspiracy. Knock it off. You're a liar. You need to be more of a homer.
No, but I totally believe that. The trade, again, the trade was so dumb.
It
made no sense that you know it's a bad trade when conspiracy tinfoil hat material actually makes more sense than defense wins championships nonsense.
I mean, you guys are on to something, maybe. You're absolutely on to something. I'm
telling you. And the league just signed a new TV deal, and so they owe it to their partners to make sure they have good ratings. And one good way to do that is to put Luka Doncic in Hollywood now that LeBron is about to exit.
Gosh.
Stage right. I'm just saying.
It makes sense, and that's I don't want to believe it. I want to hold out hope for the greater good. But
I mean, I would feel better if the league, if I found out, I would feel better about life if I found out the league rigged the whole thing, so I wouldn't think that Patrick Dumont and Nico Harrison were so dumb for trying to justify an awful trade. They traded Luka for one draft pick and freaking AD. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah. No,
they're trying to justify it.
They traded Luka Doncic for Cooper Flagg. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense now.
Celtics with a 5-point lead first quarter with 3:47 to play. We'll see if the Knicks can bounce back and take a 3-1 lead in the series. And joining us now here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill off Canyon Road is my good buddy and my good friend Joshua Trainer, who is with us. And Joshua is a big basketball fan. What's up, brother?
How you doing?
So good to see you, my friend.
You too.
You live close by, so it was an easy, convenient stop by to swing by and say what up.
Absolutely.
All right, you're a big hooper. What do you think about Dallas jumping all the way up to number 1 to get access to Cooper Flagg?
It's insane. You give away, Luka.
Yeah.
And here you are rewarded with Cooper Flagg. It's unbelievable.
Yes. Now, Chris and I were talking about this. The Trailblazers fall back to number 11, which is unfortunate, but they're in an interesting spot now where I think all options are on the table. You can take a player if you find a guy you like in that spot at 11, or you could use the pick to attach to one of your veteran players to possibly move. So at least I like the fact that the Blazers will have options once the draft comes up on June 25th. What are you hoping for the Trailblazers? What are you looking for? Because I know you were excited about the way that the young guys really battled and competed down the stretch.
I like the group. I don't know that adding someone at 11 is the best option.
Yeah.
Packaging that pick with a player and moving for someone, bring someone in to add and help the roster as it stands now, I think would be the better bet.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, you and I were talking about this, and Burkhart was mentioning it earlier, but as a whole, I feel rejuvenated as a basketball fan because these playoff games through the first and first half of the second round, you've enjoyed them, but it's been awesome action, man.
Yeah, the intensity, the passion, I don't even know how to put the right words to it. The overall satisfaction in watching these games has been amazing. The playoffs in the past, for whatever reason, I just haven't been as involved. But for this season, it's just been incredible. Series upon series, game upon game. You have the blowouts, yes, but these close games that are just insane and tight every game. You've got players who are just showing out incredibly well.
Yeah.
And superstars showing out in the most clutch times. And it's just amazing to watch.
Yeah. What's been your favorite about the playoffs thus far? Any particular player or series that's jumped out to you, Chris?
I've liked some of these series. I like the way I think these teams have bounced back. Like, I love the fact that after just getting destroyed by Oklahoma City, Denver was able to bounce back and figure it out, and we've got a real good competitive series there. I love what New York and Boston has given us. It's two teams that just kind of hate each other in every sport. They're rivals no matter where you go. They're living up to it, and then this has been some physicality, man. I think it's just been a fun playoff all the way around.
Yeah, you talk about guys showing up and showing out. Jalen Brunson's had some big moments, Josh. We've gotten it from Nikola Jokic in spots. He struggled the last couple of games, but he was great in game number 1. We've seen it now with Boston, who got Peyton Pritchard to rise up and play huge in game number 3. I like seeing guys on this stage get an opportunity to perform, and then they come through and produce.
Yeah, and Halliburton, he's just shown out.
He looks great,
playoffs.
man.
Yeah, it just you see these players, and over an 82-game span, you don't get to see them much, or a game here or a game there. But now you just got these series locked in night after night, and you get to see them day after day. and how they exemplify the work they've put in, right, to come now and show it on the biggest stage.
That's pretty awesome. Now, you played your high school ball at Scappoose?
Scappoose High School, yes.
That's great. Now,
So
you still ball and play pickup. Do you have a league you play in, or what is it you play in now?
just rec, pickup games, and whatever I can find, during the week. So
Gosh. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, man, because we're getting older, but you're out there just continuing to grind. But the hooping brings out those competitive juices inside of you, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely. I think Michael Holton talked about it, right? Your fundamentals, right, can take you and allow you to play,
Yes.
like for a long time, right?
And Holton still balls all the time, too. He loves getting in those rec games.
So my game doesn't look super pretty. You'd see me running around, setting a lot of back screens, and just fading to the three-point line.
Yeah.
But I love being out there. I love competing, and basketball just brings me a lot of joy.
That's true. The only thing that doesn't bring you joy is the guy who always calls fouls in the pickup games, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
one.
It falls down.
Falls down.
Falls down and calls and one.
That's
Yes.
ridiculous. And, of course, you don't shoot free throws in your pickup games.
No.
But he still wants to yell and one. That's pretty awesome. Of the young Trailblazers this year, Denny, Tamani, Scoot, Shaden, Klingon, like, which of the young guys gives you the most hope or excitement? One or two guys that you were really impressed by throughout the course of the season?
Tumani, 1A, Denny, 1B.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up loving playing defense and watching a guy like Scottie Pippen, right? And how he would lock down defenders, or Gary Payton. And that type of defense, that kind of in-your-face, just grind, I love that. I love it. And to see it on an NBA level, it feels like a rarity, honestly. And so seeing Tamani just show out this year and just getting guys grill and up in them full court and taking charges, and it's just a blast to see someone play like that and that hard. And so that was my 1A, right?
Yeah.
And then Denny, he just puts so much pressure on a defense. He can shoot the three, but he's gonna make
Push
you
his
pay.
tempo.
Yeah, push his tempo. He's gonna get into the lane, and he's gonna punish you.
Yeah.
In the lane, and he's gonna get a foul, or he's gonna get a basket, or he's gonna get an and one, and that type of player who puts that pressure on the defense is a great asset.
All right, let's give an update on you. How many years has it been since your heart attack?
It's about 4.5.
About 4.5 years. So 4.5 years ago, Josh and I were up at Wildwood Golf Course. This is back when Josh would carry his clubs around the course. And somewhere between hole 15 and hole 17, Josh had to back away and stop playing. And you walked with me for the last couple of holes, and you knew something was going on. We didn't know at the time that it was a heart attack, but you survived it. And you were able to get medical treatment. So 4.5 years after the fact, what's been the latest update from your doctor, and how's your health, and where are you at today?
Everything is good. I can go do what I want to do. My heart is in great condition. There's no long-term damage. Like you mentioned, I go play basketball. I go walk the golf course with you now.
You play soccer.
Play indoor soccer.
You just don't carry your clubs. You got the push cart.
I don't carry my clubs anymore, no. But I'm able to do the things I want to do, and it's a blessing. Every day is a blessing.
That's great, man, because we'll both turn 50 this year. And I think it's great that you're doing so well, and like, you look great and you're thriving. And so you've been an inspiration to me because, and I don't want to speak for you, but one thing I do know from your heart attack and almost losing your life is that you found a new appreciation for today. Not worrying about tomorrow or the next day or 2 months down the road or 2 years down the road, but just focusing on what you have today and making sure you make an effort to communicate with the people close to you in your life how much you care about them and love them today. And I think it's been an inspiration to me because the event changed you significantly in so many different ways, did it not?
Yeah, it did, dramatically. And changing perspective on your day and your moments. And I have breath in my lungs today.
Yes.
To tell the people I love you today.
Yes.
And not wait for tomorrow. Yesterday's done. But what I've been given today are these moments today. And so I want people to feel it, sense it, know it, that I'm thinking about them, or that I love them, that they would understand that they're seen and valued and appreciated today, because I have today to do it.
That is so freaking awesome. Now, I want to know, as a father, your son Carson just graduated from the University of Oregon, and he's gone. He's down in Los Angeles now. He just moved down a couple of weeks ago. What's it like as a dad to see one of your sons take off and move to a different part of the country as he's starting his own individual journey now that he's done with college?
It's incredible to see. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah.
He grinded for 4 years at U of O. He graduated with his data science degree. And he is now chasing a dream, right? He's moved. He was planning on moving for several months now. And so to have it come to fruition, he wasn't the greatest student, I would say, in high school. He got to college, and all of a sudden stuff clicked. And
it just took off.
It just took off.
Yeah.
And so I'm so proud of him, how he accomplished all his 4 years, how he went through the journey of his 4 years and worked his tail off. He'd go to the gym every day. I'd call him and be like, "Oh, I'm at the library studying." I'm like, "Well, what are you you're in college, Carson. What are you doing?" And so to see him now plan and prepare to move and now go do that, right? And so he's accomplished the things he set out to accomplish, and as a parent, right, it's the best. It's the best to see your kids come through those moments, and flourish and fly.
That's freaking awesome. So, and he's looking at, he wants to pursue acting, right?
He does, yeah.
That's great. And if that doesn't work, then he can fall back on his computer science or whatever he's got.
Data science, cybersecurity. He's 6'3". He looks like an Adonis.
Yeah.
Like he just ripped. And so, he wants to pursue the acting thing. It gives him a lot of life and joy and energy just to audition.
Yeah.
Right? He said, it brings me the most life and joy and energy, and I want to pursue it. And so go do it, Carson. Go do it.
All right. That's terrific, my friend. Well, it's great to see you, Josh. I love you, and it's always good to see you. I had fun being on the course with you yesterday, and I'm glad you could give an update and let everyone know how you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
4.5 years after and strong. Yeah. All right, we'll keep things rolling. I do have an update on Brian Noah. Are you aware of what's going on with B. Noah?
I am.
Okay, so we'll give an update on B. Noah. Right now, the Celtics on top of the Knicks, 39-28, 11:42 to go first half at Madison Square Garden. Big thanks to Josh Trainer. We're live here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton, 10245 Southwest Canyon Road. We're going to be on air until 7. You can stop by and hang out. They've got 30 television screens. They feature the Timbers and Blazers. NFL Sunday ticket, karaoke on Saturday and Sunday night, and trivia on Wednesday night. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. just off Canyon Road. You can stop by and join us. Let's go back out to the phones, 503-248-0620. Reacting to the NBA Draft Lottery, Dallas with a less than 2% chance jump all the way up to number 1. And the majority of messages I'm getting that everyone thinks it was rigged. The fix is in, that Dallas was rewarded for sending Luka to the Lakers. Let's go out and talk with my man Tony in Vancouver. What's up, boss? What's on your mind?
Hey, let's stop with this conspiracy junk, okay? The NBA isn't that stupid. If they get caught conspiring in the draft, not only their viewership's bad already, but you're going to have 29 owners that didn't get the first-round draft pick suing them for billions. It's not worth it. They're not going to do that. Okay, so be proud of the Blazers. Cronin and Chauncey Billups have done way, way better than I thought they would. And I've been on your program being critical of both of them guys. Got a good team. They're going to be in the playoffs, and they're going to grow. And there's no conspiracy in the NBA because they're not stupid enough to do that. Does that make sense?
No, I got you, boss. I appreciate that. I agree with your assessment on Cronin and Chauncey. I was excited that both of them got locked in, and now we knew going into the offseason what the brain trust would be, and I think Chauncey did a heck of a job down the stretch with this group. I don't know if I've talked to you on air about this, but were you happy with the extensions for both Cronin and Billups?
I like Cronin. I like what he's done. I think he's made some really good moves. Everyone wants to judge him by Dame, but I think you look at getting Toumani Camara, getting Denny Avdia, the way he's drafted. Really, Scoot's shown improvement, but I still like Shade, and I like Donovan Clingan. Yeah, I like him, and then him and Schmitz I think are a real good team. As for Billups, I think it was a move where it's like I think if they would have moved on, I would have understood it. If they would have signed the extension, I understood it. I get it. I think one thing that is important to me when it comes to Billups, and I thought it was apparent in the exit interviews, is I think with some of the turmoil the team has gone through when it comes to wins and losses, I think it's very easy for a head coach to lose a locker room. And I don't think he lost the locker room. I thought that the fact that he called DeAndre Ayton out multiple times this season and DA responded, the fact that he called out Shea basically when he took him out of the lineup and Shea responded, I think there's some respect there. And then I also think, Chad, in his exit interview when he was admitting to his shortcomings, how he said, hey, I need to be better offensively next year. I don't think I was ready for this when I came in. I've learned a lot. Like, I think a lot of coaches can just wipe that aside and, oh, no, it wasn't me. But the fact that he was open about that and then, again, he didn't lose the locker room, I want to see what he does moving forward.
Well, let's go back out to the phones. Let's bring on a Jazz fan, Dylan out in Newburgh. Dylan, I'm sorry, man. The Jazz went through a brutal season, and your team drops back to number 5. That sucks.
Yeah, Chad. Oh man, our poor Blazers, right?
Yeah. Go back to number
but
11.
More than anything, yes, my back to number 11. But more importantly, yes, my poor Jazz. The worst season in franchise history. Making questionable choices to re-sign Will Hardy, the head coach, after having the worst season. And then they're awarded the 5th overall pick. It sucks. And I don't know what that franchise is going to do in the future.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I appreciate the phone call, Dylan. That goes back to what Burkhart's been selling you all night. It's not worth the tank because there's no guarantees with the lottery, considering it never goes in order.
Never does. Not at all.
And it's a tough sell on your fans, too. And we've seen that here in Portland. People get frustrated with the losing.
Yeah. Like you brought up football. Like, if you could sell the guarantee, right, it's one thing. But when you're selling, we're going to be bad on purpose so that we improve our chances slightly at getting this number 1 overall pick or getting a better draft odds. When, again, now the numbers still hold that going back to 1985, that's only happened 3 times. That 1, 2, and 3 have ended with the top 3 picks come the draft lottery. Every teams move up all the time. And you look, Dallas was not in tank mode. They had some injuries there to AD, knocked him out a little bit, and then they started to make a comeback. It wasn't until the last few games of the year that they were out of it mathematically, right? They weren't in tank mode, and look what happened.
All right, 503-248-0620. If you want to jump on board and react to the NBA Draft Lottery, you can feel free to do that. Right now, the Celtics and Knicks are battling at Madison Square Garden in the first half. 6:21 to play, and the Knicks trail by 6, 48-42. Boston with the lead as the Celtics look to even up that series, and the Knicks looking to scratch out a victory and take a commanding 3-1 lead in the series. So a much better game than what we saw on Saturday when Boston came out basically unstoppable. 503-248-0620. Let's go out to Sean and Sandy. Sean, my friend, you told me earlier today that if it's not Portland, you wanted him to land either in San Antonio or possibly Dallas, and now we know that Cooper Flagg will go and be a part of the Mavericks.
That's crazy, brother Chad. I'm really bummed out. I mean, I was hoping the Blazers would do a lot better, but this is a deep draft. Hopefully we get somebody good or put that together with a good trade. But this kind of reminds me of when David Robinson got hurt. Remember when David Robinson got hurt and they landed Tim Duncan?
Yes.
So, I mean, this is kind of like what's going on there. And then look how Dallas ended up. Like, how did that happen? I mean, that's like you're saying, they're going to be instant contenders right now.
Yeah, you would think so.
If Kyrie comes back any decent shape, and then AD stays on the floor, that's going to be a good team.
Oh, there's no question about it. And Sean, I appreciate the call, buddy. I mean, Burkhardt, if healthy, and that's a big if with Kyrie and AD, with the addition of Cooper Flagg, like Dallas is going to be a threat in the Western Conference.
Without a doubt.
With their length and athleticism.
I mean, they were a NBA Finals team last year. They were in the hunt for large chunks of this season. I think when they traded Luka, they were at fifth or something like that, right? They fall out. They have a couple of injuries. I think they were starting to play well when those guys were on the court together. Now you put those guys there with Cooper Flagg. You've added another great weapon for them. Like, yeah, they instantly become contenders. And then you got San Antonio with Victor Wembanyama comes back healthy, right? Because he had the health scare, so that changes things. So Portland still has a lot of work to do.
All right, messages are coming in from the Credible Hulk. Hey Chad, second time in 5 years a team wins the lottery after trading their star player to Los Angeles. David Stern would be so proud. Yeah, pretty much. Here's another one from everyone. The NBA is more rigged than the WWE. That's interesting. Yeah, people aren't buying Dallas with less than a 2% chance. Let's go back out to the phones. Let's go to Gresham.
Your favorite place.
Rick in Gresham. Rick, appreciate the phone call. You're up. What's on your mind? Fire away.
How's it going, Chad? So you remember how the draft with Wembanyama, Portland was one number away.
Yeah, just like
on
tonight.
The last ping pong ball.
Yep.
Yeah, that same exact thing happened again. And, with the whole rig thing, I mean, you really got to question, how does something like that happen to a city like Portland consecutively like that? That blows my mind. The odds of that happening have to be staggering.
Yeah, there's no question. What do you think about the idea that the NBA was rewarding Dallas for shipping off Luka to Los Angeles?
Well, I think there's some merit to that. I've read some, conspiracy-type articles on the situation, and from what I've read, this all involves a casino and some money and taking the Dallas brand on purpose so that something can happen with the state of Texas. There's a lot of moving parts with that, and it's almost to the point where I think some kind of investigation would almost be merited.
Well, I appreciate the phone call, Rick. There's Rick out in Gresham. Those are the two big conspiracies on Dallas. Either number one, that they were in cahoots with the NBA to get Luka to L.A. and now have been rewarded tonight with the lottery, or that the Adelson group, the trade was so bad, trading away Luka to L.A. for AD and a pick, that the thought is they were trying to tank the team so they could threaten to move to Las Vegas to put pressure on the Texas state legislator to be able to get them that new casino, to get the gambling deal rolling in with the new arena and stuff.
That's the believable one, because there are so many games going on behind the scenes trying to leverage for new stadiums and this and that. That's the believable one. I don't know if I buy this whole get him to the Lakers thing. I mean, the NBA also famously rescinded a Chris Paul trade to the Lakers. So That part's just a little crazy to me, but I get why people want to think that way, because sports is always full of weird coincidences that we want to say are conspiracies. I mean, I look at I always found it weird that in 2001 you have September 11th and then a team named the Patriots wins the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? You have the Boston Marathon bombing. Who won the World Series that year? Oh. Yeah, a couple months later, it was the Boston Red Sox. Sometimes things connect just a little weird in sports.
Let's go out to McMinnville. Miguel, you're up on the Rip City Drive. What's on your mind?
Well, probably like everyone, a little, I guess I can't say shocked because of, we didn't necessarily tank, but I was a little shocked that, given that the teams who usually do tank don't get it, and I feel like the Blazers had, pretty good season. I think we were only supposed to win like 21 or 22 games this season, and they're very competitive. I think they're just a few pieces away. So I think what's on my mind is I don't think the 11th pick is so horrible, but do we take a shooting guard and BJ Edgecombe, Trey Johnson, or Jace Richardson? That's if the first two drop that far. And then if we don't take one of them, do we try to package Anthony in the 11th or Jeremy in the 11th and try to get a piece that plugs right in? Maybe not a veteran who doesn't have many years, but someone that's, anywhere between the ages of 25 to 27 years old to try to just get into the team who's NBA proven to try to help this team get over the hump.
Well, Miguel, that's a very good phone call, and Chris and I will react to that right now. Let me ask you a question. For the Blazers, we believe, or I think you and I are in agreement, that of all the veterans on the roster, it's probably most important to move Grant out sooner rather than later, right? Is Jeremy Grant the number one?
I believe so.
Because you're trying to create room for both Tamani Kamara and Deni Avdija.
Correct.
Okay, so if that's the case, do you think in order to move Grant with a few years left on that deal, that more than likely they'd have to attach a pick to that?
I think you look at the Grant deal and you look at the numbers there. A lot of people don't like that contract, so I think you have to attach some value to it to maybe get that incentive right over the hump. So I do think that 11th overall pick makes a lot of sense in that situation. I think Anthony Simons is another player you trade, but I think he might be able to net you some good assets with the right team. But Jeremy Grant has been the one, him and DeAndre Ayton both, that people are talking about. Their contracts make them harder to trade. So you're going to have to add something to him. Well, guess what? You just found something pretty good to add, which is that 11th overall pick.
Yeah, so he's got 3 years left on his deal, 32, 34, and $36 million. So you may be correct. They may have to attach a pick. So I think that's a possibility. Or, Schmitz and Cronin, they've got a good eye on these young guys. Maybe they see someone in the draft right around where they're picking at number 11 they think would be a good fit. And I think that's something to keep an eye on. But there is a lot to be excited about because of the way that the young guys competed this year and the fact that this team is trending in the right direction. There's no question about it. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620. Dallas has jumped all the way up to number 1 with less than a 2% chance. Number 2 will be San Antonio, followed by the Philadelphia 76ers, with Charlotte at number 4. Utah fell back to number 5, and Washington fell back as well. So none of the 3 teams at the top of the draft or lottery order stayed in that position. They all fell back, which is amazing to me.
And obviously Dallas is getting all of the love here, right? But you're looking at we said this going in. Portland just needed one of those top 4 picks, right? Because that top 4, those are all 4 really good players, right? Well, San Antonio was a fringe team last year. Again, the injuries happened. They're going to go get a guy like an Ace Bailey now, right? They're going to get a really good young player to add to that core. Philadelphia, who's, if the injuries aren't there, is a good team, is also going to be in a position to get some really good players. So there's a lot of teams who just the way they moved up that were right on the fringe were instantly better with these draft picks. These guys aren't going into a Washington situation where it's a bad team that is still years around. They're going into teams that might be able to put it together right now.
All right, and if you're just joining us, Ben Golliver put this out. But just like we saw in the Wemby draft, the Mavericks won the lottery with the ping pong ball combination of 10, 14, 11, and 7. The Blazers would have won if the last ball had been number 6. The Wizards would have won if the last ball had been number 1. So once again, the Trailblazers one digit away from winning the top overall pick, just like we saw in the Wemby sweepstakes. So it's absolutely brutal. That's how close it was. Unbelievable. That close. But the Blazers come up just short, and as a result, the Dallas Mavericks now will have the number 1 overall pick, and, of course, they're going to take Cooper Flagg. Sean in Damascus says it's almost as if Dallas knew it was pre-planned. They would get the number 1 pick, so they traded Luka. Very suspicious. Yeah, the majority of people believe that Dallas getting the number 1 pick is absurd.
It is. It absolutely is. Sorry, did I get moved around? Sorry. It absolutely is absurd. It's unreal. We watched it play out in real time here going, there's just no way. And I said it about a half hour before that the worst case scenario was Dallas getting that number 1 overall pick and Nico thinking he did something good here. This is wild. And again, this is why you definitely buy into the conspiracies. I get why they're coming in hot and heavy. And as my friend Matt was texting me, like I said, you're an idiot, Burkhart. Come on. You know it's a conspiracy. Quit saying otherwise. Don't play devil's advocate just, to go against Chad. I get it. I get why people think this way. As our friend Bobby over here keeps reminding us, I mean, famously the New York Knicks, right? And the frozen slight fold in the envelope so you knew which one to pick. Like, there is always some sort of conspiracy with these drafts.
Have you gone back and watched that on YouTube, the Patrick Ewing draft?
It's
David Stern's face. It's very suspicious.
Yeah. It's
So the envelope was frozen or it had a crease in it, but he looked nervous, like really nervous, like he knew something was going down.
Yeah. But also I think this league too, when you sit here and you talk conspiracies at times, like, oh, what are you talking about? The games being officiated weird. Refs would never do that. Well, then you got the Donaghy stuff where he was literally fixing games as he was reffing them. So,
literally.
Like, it is wild, man. But yes, I keep wanting to say it's coincidental, but the fact that you trade Luka and make the dumbest trade of all time, everyone hates you. Now you get lucked into the number 1. It's the 4th longest odds of all time. Yeah, it's a bit wild.
I feel like I hear Lionel Richie singing to me right now. Oh, that's a good song. Crank that, Shacker. You are. getting the number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg.
It's pretty spot on.
It's pretty spot on.
That's pretty spot on.
Because now he's going to go out there acting like he's on top of the world. Yeah, I got this. I told you it was all going to be good. Defense wins championships.
He's walking around the front office right now, just tapping his wrist to every person who looks at him. Like, I did that. I did that.
Well, I think the advantage, at least the way I look at it, is for the Trailblazers. You know, obviously it would have been phenomenal and life-changing if they would have jumped up to number 1. They were one combination off from doing that. But because of the young core that they have together, like I don't feel like it's the end of the world because they have a good foundation in place with the young guys they've already selected.
No, and they still got some moves to make this offseason. And if anything, I mean, you know, that 11th pick makes it maybe a little bit easier to move Jeremy Grant or whatever you have to do. So there's still things to be made. I think they showed some improvements, especially towards the end of last year, and we'll see where they go. It's going to be an important offseason no matter what, whether you had Cooper Flagg or not.
It just seems like in the NBA, like, you know, it goes through different iterations with, you know, we got through the super teams, and then it looked like every team was looking for like 2 superstars. I mean, but the one thing it does that you do feel like you need is you do need that true, like, number 1.
Absolutely.
Like just a number 1 that, like, you know, when bleep hits the fan that you've got that guy that you lean on. The Knicks have that in Brunson. The Celtics have that in Jason Tatum. Like, you just need you do need a true number 1. And if the Blazers don't have that, then maybe their process of, you know, going out to find that either in the draft this year or via trade, maybe they're still searching for it. Maybe they can develop that guy like Coach Bills was talking about. But I do feel like you need that true, you at least need a number 1 option. Like the Oklahoma City Thunder, I don't think Jalen Williams is a number 1 option or a 1B, but they have their 1 in Shai Gilgeous.
Right. I think fans always point to Chauncey Billups' Detroit Pistons as a team that did it without a number 1. But I think the difference between, like, say, them and the Blazers right now is the fact that whether or Billups or Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince in the corner, Rasheed Wallace, you could guarantee that those 4 guys could go score when you needed them to. So they had scores and they had a good balance there.
That's a good point. They didn't really have a true number 1, did they?
They didn't have a true number 1, but because like their number 1 scorer, I think was Chauncey. It's either him or Rip, but you'd have to go. But you watch the way they played. And you could guarantee that if you needed to bucket Billups or Rip Hamilton or Tayshaun Prince, they were going to hit it. You could trust all of them to get it done. So you were truly that 5-man offensive unit.
Or even the Trailblazers 99-2000 that nearly won a championship, they didn't really have a true number 1. I mean, was it Stoudemire? Was it Sheed? Was it Steve Smith?
No, I think that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And you had Pippen out there who wasn't the Pippen old, but he was still good. And Steve Smith was out there hitting buckets, but he wasn't, in his prime. I mean, their best probably offensive weapon, just pure, probably might have been Stoudemire at times. But again, you look at him and you could rely on Smith and Pippen and Sheed and Sabas to hit buckets when you needed them to.
So the key will be then just continued in-house development, and then hopefully whether it's draft or via trade, you can continue to add. Because my guess would be, like, if they make a trade, like, they're going to continue to look for guys in that age range, like a Denny Avdia, right, in that 24 to 25 range. I mean, they're looking at someone in that area, right?
You have to keep them in that overused term, but keep them in that career arc, right? So,
yeah, and all right. So the Blazers fall back to number 11. The Mavericks jump all the way up to number 1, and that's how the lottery finishes out. In regards to the playoff game, we're halftime now at Madison Square Garden. 2 games tonight, and right now the Celtics are up by 11, 62-51. Tatum has 20 points, 6 rebounds at halftime. Brunson with 13 for the Knicks. And then it's 7 o'clock on ESPN. Game 4, Timberwolves and Warriors. Who do you like in Game 4 of that series tonight?
I like Timberwolves. I think the Warriors are done without Curry. That's not a team that's going to go score in bunches or give the Timberwolves any fear.
I really like watching Anthony Edwards play when he's got that mean streak.
He
had a big second half in Game 3.
He's special, man. He is good.
And he's got that kind of I don't give a bleep attitude.
He's got that Mamba mentality, as it were.
He does. I love that line he said after Game 3 where he was asked about, how he's able to come alive in the second half. And he's like, just trust the work and keep shooting. Very nonchalant. Like, that's the perfect mentality.
Absolutely.
Well, I put in the time. I'm just going to keep firing away.
It's like when Kobe was asked about if he thought he could have got his teammates more involved because he had a tough shooting night. And he's like,
I'm a shooting guard. Get over it.
Guard.
And he was pissed when that question was asked.
Right.
because the guy was trying to low-key suggest that maybe you shot your team out of the game. He's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, stop that nonsense.
Yeah, I love that, man, so much. So that's where we're at today, and then, we'll see how things continue to unfold in the playoffs. But now the next big date will be draft night, which is June 25th. And we could get trades. The Blazers executed one on draft night last year. We could get some trades to go down on draft night. But then what I love about the way the NBA schedule sets up, like you go from draft right into the beginning of free agency. It's like boom, boom. Like, it's like they're 1 week apart.
I'll tell you this, and this is not source. This is just gut feeling. But I think a team to watch is Houston. Because I said this to a group chat a few weeks ago, and then I saw that Worldwide Wob threw this one out there too. But my gut tells me that there's a good chance that Jabari Smith Jr. is in a Trailblazer uniform next year. Because I think Houston is going to make some moves to try to get their lineup a little more dialed in. He's been the kind of the odd man out of that rotation. You go give me a guy who's, he's 21 right now with 3 years in the league and fits that role, can come off the bench or maybe eventually be the starter. I would keep all eyes on him.
I'm real curious to see if Houston's going to go big game hunting for, try and get into the KD mix.
I think they absolutely should. They should get in the KD mix.
But would you do it now? Like, have you seen enough to where you would make the change, or would you let this young group continue to grow?
I think this young group's going to continue to grow, but still going to need those pieces.
Because you need someone to get buckets in the half-court offense.
Yep, absolutely. Which is also a place where I think Jeremy Grant can fit into that lineup as just a guy who just does nothing but shoot and score.
And I think I love watching Amon Thompson play. Like, that guy's a budding stud.
Yeah. Portland could have had him.
His length, his defense. All right, that does it for the Rip City Drive. It will be back tomorrow at 3. But coming up next, Courtside Mondays with Chris Burkhardt live here from the Pit Stop Bar and Grill in Beaverton. So that's up next. Big thanks to all of you for tuning in and joining us, and for everyone that joined us out here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill. Courtside's up next. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
Welcome into Courtside Monday. Chris Burkhardt here with you at the Pit Stop Sports Bar and Grill in Beaverton, where we are here for the Trailblazers draft lottery watch party. Didn't end as well as you thought. It's kind of like being a contestant on The Price is Right and being told you get to win a new car. And it's like a 1995 Honda Civic. It's not the big, nice, brand new one you want, because the Blazers, they didn't just, not jump up in the draft into the top 4. They fell back in the draft one spot to number 11 because Nico Harrison paid off the league and jumped from 11 to number 1 as the Dallas Mavericks end with the number 1 overall pick on draft lottery night. It's been a whirlwind of emotion here at the Pit Stop. Blazer fans have cleared out. I was ready for a full-on party. I was ready for Doug Fur to just come tackle us and accidentally take us off air because they jumped up to number 1. That's not what happened. We left deflated here. Just a wild night. Of course, the calls coming in during Rip City Drive. A lot of fans feeling the conspiracy theories as they were, because it is pretty odd that a team that pulls off one of the most lopsided boneheaded, head-scratching trades of all time, just a few months later, lucks in to getting the number 1 overall pick, and that is the Dallas Mavericks in a nutshell, because that is what happened. A wild, wild night. As Casey Holdahl pointed out, that is now 3 of the last 4 drafts that the Blazers have fallen from their projection. So it's just rough to be in that spot if you're Portland. Now what happens with the number 11 overall pick? It's going to be a very interesting summer because Portland can use it. They can trade it. They can do all sorts of things here. Joe Cronin, I think he knows very well, but he is on the clock right now, and he should be making calls. And as some people had pointed out to us that, there's been some good number 11 overall picks. Devin Vassell for San Antonio. Cam Johnson was a number 11 pick. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was taken number 11 overall by the Charlotte Hornets in 2018. Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, Klay Thompson. That's just, in the last, 15 years or so. So there's been some good number 11 overall picks. There's also been the Doug McDermotts of the world, Cole Aldrich, AC Law, Michael Petrus, Jared Jeffries, Kendrick Brown. Not necessarily household names. So it's a little bit of a crapshoot. We'll see what happens with the Blazers, though. It's going to be interesting, absolutely, because we've talked all season long about this offseason being important. We weren't even talking about the draft lottery and what could come out of it, but we were talking about whether it's trading Anthony Simons or trading Jeremy Grant or what happens with DeAndre Ayton, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we all knew that this offseason was going to be important, and I think it just became just a little bit more important because he didn't get into Cooper Flag. He didn't get into the top 4, fell back to 11. Blazer fans, justifiably, because, fanatics, right? You get a little upset that that's what happened. But I still think there are plenty of avenues moving forward. Now, joining me now, because we're just a tandem today, spend more time with him than I do my wife. I think he asked if I just wanted to join on for a segment. And I was like, yeah, I'll be there for the whole show, for the Rip City Drive. And then I asked him to stay on for courtside, because why not get 4 hours of Chad and Chris here? But it is Chad doing of the Rip City Drive.
I'm sorry about taking you away from your wife. I'm glad that we get to spend time together, but I've seen your wife, and I know me, and I shouldn't be taking you away from her. I'm not doing any favors here. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, she's a 10 out of 10, and I don't want to rank you because I don't want to hurt your feelings.
I'm glad that you listed off the picks at number 11. There's some good players there.
There are some good players there. Like I said, Klay Thompson was one. He's obviously a very good player. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's turned into an MVP type player. So you never know what's going to be available there at 11. I think what's really interesting though, Chad, is you have that pick and you go into this draft. And I think if there's one thing that this front office has proven, that I think Mike Schmitz does a great job with his scouting and the guys he wants. You can go back and there's a tweet for basically every single Blazer on this roster. He likes his guys. So, there might be an avenue to use that pick, but I also think there's avenues to trade it. So they're not in a terrible spot.
Yeah, I just know, for me, and this is just my own thoughts on the team, I think the most important thing that they need to figure out is how they're going to move Jeremy Grant. And the question is, can you move Grant with 3 years left on his deal and the type of money that's remaining on that deal without attaching a pick. And if the answer is no, then you've got the pick that you can attach. But I also do trust in Mike Schmitz and Joe Cronin and their staff of being able to identify young players that they've been scouting that they believe can come in and help. And so I just like the fact that they got options. If they find a player at the draft that they like where they're picking at number 11, they can grab them. If not, then you've got the options where you can look to attach a pick and move one of your vets. But the one thing I do know is that it's hard to imagine bringing Jeremy Grant back based on the emergence of Tamani Kamara and Denny Avdia. And so that's why the next, 4 to 6 weeks is going to be fascinating to see how things unfold.
Yeah, and you also heard Jeremy Grant in his exit interviews. He did the classic, like, oh, yeah, that's something, me and my agent are going to talk about and, decide what's best for us, which is basically a player saying, yeah, I'm going to look for my next avenue and I want to get out of here. And the Blazers, I think, understand that their best movement forward is with Tamani and with Denny. I also think there's so much intrigue with Anthony Simons as well, because I like Ant. I just think as long as he's here, you can't have Scoot. Like, you got to pick one, and I think Scoot's the way they want to go. You got to move on from him. And you watch these playoffs, like, you can't tell me that you didn't watch the Orlando Magic going, yeah, they could use a guard who could shoot the ball really well.
Well, let me ask you a question. Would it shock you if the Blazers re-signed Ant to an extension?
You know what? As dumb as it sounds, the answer is no.
It wouldn't shock you.
I don't think it shocked me.
Well, they got a decision to make on him, too, because he's entering into the final year of his contract.
Right.
So you're not going to let him expire. You're going to have to move him at some point. So, yeah. So I would say Ant is definitely in a position, too, like Grant, where you've got to make a decision there.
Yeah, and again, I have no problem with him. I like Ant a lot.
It wouldn't surprise me if you start the year with Ant still on the roster. That wouldn't shock me because you can make it work with the 3 guards. But I would guess, based on the 2 picks that they had with Shaden and with Scoot, that at some point between now and the trade deadline that you would probably have to move on Ant, because I don't expect the extension, although they could, but you're not going to let him just go off the books.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe this is the year where Orlando, who could use a player like Ant, or somebody will step up and look to make that move for those teams that need someone that can generate offense by creating their own shot, which he can.
Absolutely. And as we brought up with Orlando a few times, is the way that their books drastically change going into the offseason because of the extensions that kick in for Jalen Suggs and Franz Wagner. The extension also kicks in for Jonathan Isaac, but his is one that is a de-escalating deal.
Yeah.
That's very nice. He actually becomes $10 million cheaper next year for a guy who is right now, he's a bench player, but versatile one at that. So there's a lot of avenues there. I still think Ant is a perfect fit for Orlando. Also, I think you've seen the rumors floated around with Houston too. They could use a little extra punch around their young core. So there's a lot of intrigue here if the cards are played right. So we'll see what happens. All we know is that unless something crazy happens, it's not Cooper Flag.
Well, some of my friends that I used to work with who are now down in Dallas, the big thing is kind of what you mentioned, that after the initial excitement has kind of settled, they wouldn't be surprised if Nico traded the pick. That's where they're at with Nico.
I've already seen it. People are like, hey, would you trade Cooper Flag to get in on the Giannis sweepstakes? Would you do wouldn't that be something? Or like, what if you're sitting there, he's got the number 1 overall pick, and come draft night, with the number 1 overall pick, the Dallas Mavericks select Ace Bailey, and it's just like, oh, what?
Maybe you can get do another deal with the Lakers and get LeBron to Dallas because again, defense does win championships.
Yeah, or the idea I saw floated out already is that I wouldn't be surprised if the Mavericks trade Anthony Davis and a slew of picks to the Lakers for Bronny. Not Braun, Bronny.
Bronny. Yeah.
Why not? Put Bronny and Cooper Flag together, see what happens. But yeah, I get it. I love this league. I love the NBA. I've been covering it now for a decade, and that's where my love for it is. I was a fan, but I love it. I love the NBA. But when stuff like this happens, man, it is so hard not to buy into the conspiracy theories. Because seriously, what's going on to sit there and do what you did to Luka and be the enemy of the entire NBA where everyone is pointing a finger and laughing at you, and now a couple of months later you finally have the ability, right or not, to point the finger back and say, ha ha, look what I got.
Yeah, and just go back to when it originally went down. It was such a bad trade that we all assumed that Shams had been hacked.
We did. I'd never say anything like that in Media Row.
And then when Dallas, when they had their press conference and tried to justify the maneuver, the things that they said didn't make sense. They didn't get any assets back to rebuild their team moving into the future. And so it was just one of those deals that was so bad that actually the conspiracies made more sense than what the Mavericks were telling us. So that's why, and I think the league, the NBA, for whatever reason, there's a portion of the fans, the league's got that perception of being a league that's rigged, right?
Right.
With the officiating and doing things for ratings and so forth, the frozen envelope. It's not the first time that people have had concerns. But I blame the government. This all goes back to the JFK assassination when they tried to sell us on a lone gunman, and that being the reason that the president was dead. That's where trust started to erode with government and with big corporations, and people started to buy into conspiracies.
Well, the thing is too, and you're a big fan of YouTube.
Love it.
As am I. Also, we're not sponsored, but the YouTube Premium, highly recommend it.
Do you have it?
Yes, and I know you do too. And I have multiple YouTube accounts.
I've had it for years.
Like if I log into the Rip City Radio YouTube account to mess with our page,
Get
and
an ad.
I accidentally watch a video, and I say accidentally because I get an ad and it irritates me. That's the best money you can pay.
I think I got it. I started getting it like 4 or 5 years ago. I was paying $9.99. It's only raised like $4. It's the best. I'm not joking. It's the best $13.99 I spend every month.
Yes,
because I can watch videos unlimited, with no commercials. And when I'm in my car and you're like pushing music Bluetooth wise, if your phone screen shuts off, the video keeps going.
I do that all the time. I'll put a YouTube video on and just lock my screen. I'm not watching. I'm just listening to it.
It's perfect. Have you used the YouTube Music app yet?
No.
Oh, you should.
Okay,
It's
I'll
epic.
I'll have to get
It's
on
so
that.
good. Yeah.
I'll have to get on that too.
Big fan.
But the point is I'll watch the YouTube videos and you'll pop on and it'll be like Watch Mojo or something. It'll be like 20 conspiracy theories that ended up being true, right? And then it goes through like, this is the conspiracy theory. Everyone thought it was absolutely wild at the time. Everyone's like, there's no way it could be that. And then a couple years later, come to find out it wasn't a conspiracy. It really happened.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And anytime there's big money involved, like, billions of dollars, I'm just more likely to buy into the possibility of a conspiracy now as you get older, because you start to realize that, sometimes people do things to manipulate things. But all I know is that, let's just say that there's no conspiracy. It is unbelievable that the Mavericks made one of the dumbest trades of all time, probably the worst trade in the history of sport.
Right.
And then they're now rewarded with their stupidity by getting access to Cooper Flag, which washes the sins away. That is unreal.
It is pretty
Like, it's
wild.
unbelievable.
It is.
Patrick Dumont and Nico Harrison are crazy, insane people that made a bad decision, but now it doesn't even matter because they got Cooper Flag.
You know what's interesting, too? Like, what if you're San Antonio? So San Antonio has a plethora of picks to work with.
Yep.
So what if you call them and say, hey, let's trade 1 for 2, and I'll give you a couple extra firsts on top of it. You can still go get a guy who helps you now. You already got your big in AD. You're good to go. And then the point is, I wouldn't be shocked if Nico did something that crazy, because we saw him do the thing that no one has ever seen or thought would happen. That's trade a guy in their prime and didn't even ask
Or they'll
out.
take a different player other than Cooper Flag, and they'll say that based on their, scouting, that they made the right decision. They'll take like VJ Edgecombe or something and pass on Cooper Flag. Total insanity.
It's gonna be wild.
The Knicks are making a push now. They're on a 9-0 run. They've cut the Boston lead to 5 with 7:25 to play in the third.
Here we go, 72-67. Brunson just hit a couple at the line.
And the Nick faithful is starting to get a little bit loud. And the Celtics come right back with a 3 from Derek White. Boom,
That's
boom,
a guy.
boom.
That's a guy that they need. We talk about Tatum and Brown a lot, but White's been a real key to their success in the regular season. And then I don't understand how Al Horford has found the fountain of youth. That guy does not age. He does not age. He's just look at him. Look at him the way he moves for a dude who's 40. Al Horford's great.
No, he's been great. Yeah, I'll tell you what's impressive too, and what I'm excited about with the Blazers. And we saw the defensive improvement throughout the second half of the season. When you look at some of these teams like Oklahoma City, we see it with Boston. We're seeing it with Indiana right now. Like, when you see teams that are well connected on defense and what that can do for them in terms of putting them in a position to win, that gives me hope with the Trailblazers, because you keep the same defensive system, the same coach, and you're going to have that same core coming back. the chances for them to continue to grow in connectiveness, especially on the defensive end, like I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
because we saw vast improvement. They were top 5 defense in the league in the second half of the season.
Absolutely.
Which is a good sample.
Yeah, I want to see it too. This is Courtside Monday. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. You can follow me on social media at Chris J. Burkhardt, and also follow the voice that's joining me here, Chad Doing, at Rip City Chad. Chad Doing.
Rip City.
You're like at a bunch of different handles. I always get irritated when I got to post our stuff because you got different handles on the different platforms.
I'm sorry about that.
Frustrates me.
And
It's
you can join
okay.
us out here, 30 televisions here at the Pit Stop Bar and Grill. Timbers and Trailblazers always featured. Sunday ticket, of course. Karaoke on Saturday and Sunday, and Wednesday nights is trivia night.
I got to get out to – we got to go to break here, but I got to tell you, I got to get out to the Timbers game. They're having a Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Night game on the 28th.
Well, go
And
celebrate with your
listen,
people.
they posted a video because they made a special Timber scarf for it, AAPI themed and all that. It's got the same designs as my tattoo. While I'm watching the video, my tattoo artist got to design the darn scarf for the Timbers.
Well, that's awesome.
I want to go to this game now so I can get it. So we're going to try that.
Get on
So
that.
Shout out to the Timbers and AAPI night. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break here on Courtside Man. When we come back, plenty more breaking down what went down in the draft lottery, looking ahead to the offseason, because it's going to be a good one for your Portland Trail Blazers. And it's all going to happen down right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
2 balls and 2
Oh, the music that Michael Shacker picks for intros. I feel like he's always just trying to get me off my game. Whenever I'm in studio, too, I always look through the window, and he's always, like, red-faced just laughing, which is probably what he's doing right now in the intro with the Bloodhound gang there. Welcome back into Courtside Monday. Chris Burkhardt here with you. You can follow me over there on social at Chris J. Burkhardt.
Dude,
Also
Brunson is so tough,
got my guy
man.
Chad here chiming in. He won't even let me get through the intros. I'm just going to start calling him Brendan. Look at that. Jalen Brunson, though, on fire. 27
That's
points,
not very
14
nice,
this
man.
quarter. I told that to Brendan the other day. He just laughs at me. So we pick on each other to have fun. Brendan's the best. Brendan's awesome. This guy over here, Bobby, who's talking to us, he had a guy in our college football game that we talked about, which the listeners on Courtside know because we've talked about it before.
You talking about NCAA 25?
Yes, I am talking
Greatest
about that.
video game
We're
of
in
all
a
time.
dynasty together. He recruited a guy whose last name was Slaughter, so he changed his first name to Brendan just to have Brendan Slaughter as his #1 freshman receiver.
That's
So
good.
Brendan's tearing it up for us. And
Slaughter is a great last name for a receiver, though.
that's why it is a good name. We rebrand, by the way. I don't know if you ever listen, because I tell you and you still don't believe me that my dad's last name is Butcher.
No, because it's not. There's no way
It
your
is.
dad owns
It-
a butcher. Your dad owns the freaking the original steer,
He
and
does.
his last name's Butcher.
It does. He is, and I still got to introduce you to him so he can verify, show you his.
I believe that as
show
much
you-
as I believe Joe Fan's last name is Fan.
So he's going to show you his real ID to prove it. But we rebrand anytime I fill in for you and I'm hosting and he's my producer. I always say you're welcome back to the Butcher and the Slaughter, because it just fits so well, doesn't it?
That's good.
But
I
this
like
game, this game over here though, Chad's having some fun. 83-79, 4-point game.
Celtics on top. 3:08 to play in the third. Great game.
And right now they're doing. Each team is throwing haymakers and they're matching them right now. They're big shot after big shot. I mean, look at the physicality. This is what I'm talking about. You're watching Porzingis and Hart battle down low. Like, they're letting them play, man. But I also watched this, and I saw Scott Foster, and I was like, you know what? In the NBA draft lottery, the Blazers are Chris Paul, and their lottery odds are Scott Foster. That's what I feel like right now. The Blazers can't catch a break, but Dallas does as they jump up to #1. And Jalen Brunson right now, holy smokes. He is on a tear. Madison Square Garden is on fire.
I mean, he is headhunting right now. And he's so crafty with his strength and his size. Like, he's so crafty with his footwork to get his shot off.
But it's also, again, it's also fitting, though. Also fitting that you're watching a guy that Nico didn't want in Dallas anymore. Tearing it up right now in the playoffs. Porzingis wasn't good enough for him. They got him. It's wild. You know what? I need to get out of the studio and watch sports with you more often. You are in your element. You're like a little kid right now. You're just like so excited.
But dude, don't you think it's great? Like with Brunson, like one, the Celtics have bounced back after the games 1 and 2, and Tatum's hitting some big shots. But like watching Brunson work, we talk about fundamentals. Like to be that size, to be undersized, he's obviously physically strong and he's stout. But to be able to get your shot off from different angles against bigger defenders, like your footwork and your fundamentals have to be so sound. It's just amazing what he's able to accomplish at his size. What a great player.
Yeah, he's incredible. I always talk about, too, I think there was a point in time where people talked what young guard would you rather have, Jalen Brunson or Anthony Simons?
But I think
they
Brunson
were neck
is,
and neck.
I think Brunson's making a legit case with Curry's age that he might be the best small guard in the NBA now.
He's really good. He's phenomenal.
Can he be a true #1 on a championship team? Is he legit?
We'll see what happens. He's playing like it.
But the thing that's even better for him is that part of the reason that the Knicks had issues throughout the year against better teams is that he and Karl-Anthony Towns were obvious access points because they don't defend well. But like Brunson in this series, he's holding his own in some one-on-one situations and matchups defensively to where the Anunoby and what's his nuts don't have to be caught in rotation all the time.
Right.
Bridges.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. That's his name. But you know what? You talk about his defense and all that, and you talked about the Blazers' defense before we went to break. And that's something that I through the year I started to like from Scoot Henderson. Because Scoot, when he gets switched on people, he plays big defensively.
Yeah.
So he can get mismatched and still not give away a lot.
Like Brunson, he's got a real physical body. And I remember talking with Cronin, and Cronin mentioned it at the end of the season, too, that the second half of the year they were really impressed with the Scoot, not just the offense, but his defensive improvement.
Yeah.
It was noticed.
So it's going to be really interesting how that part improves, because I felt like it took a minute, but you finally saw what Chauncey wanted from this team when things started to click defensively. And I think Denny was a big part of that. I think Tumani kind of being vocal, taking over. If that falls, oh my gosh. That was one of those shots right there that MSG was ready to blow the roof off. He would have hit that 3 to win it, or to go up.
He's had a couple of heat checks from downtown. He hasn't been able to come up with the shot. 2-point game, Celtics and Knicks right now with 2 minutes to go third. Awesome.
He just has that bad boy swag, man. He's fun.
He's fun. The only thing he does that's annoying is when he starts trying to – he puts on the antics like Trae Young to get the foul calls.
Yes, he does the Young and the Harden. And I hate that when you're good enough that you don't have to do that, but you do it anyway. Oh, an air ball.
Oh, back to White.
This is fun basketball right here. Fun basketball. Neither one of those teams drafted in the top 4, though, but San Antonio, Dallas, Philadelphia jump in. They're drafted in 1, 2, 3. And then you got Charlotte going there at 4. Portland fell back to 11. Chad is on cloud 9 over here watching this game.
Does that count? Towns just banked in a 3 with contact. Oh, they call it on the floor. Some BS right there.
It's definitely it's on the floor. It's on the floor. But the Blazers fell back to 11, and as Chad and I were talking about earlier, man, I still think there's plenty of avenues for this team to move forward and get this thing done. And one thing you like about when you watch these playoffs is you look at a team like Boston. I mean, yeah, they went and got those pieces, but those are homegrown guys. Homegrown guys. And I think even New York's interesting. New York isn't homegrown. New York is the cast-offs. They got the cast-offs, and they build them and put it together. They built their teams right, and you hope that Joe Cronin can do the same. Gosh, this game is good. This game is getting all my attention we're trying to go through here. Chad can't pay attention. None of the fans out here can pay attention anymore. That's good. This is what gets your mind off of your favorite team falling back in the NBA draft lottery, is watching some good basketball. And I'll tell you what, I think now the Blazers, as we talk about the draft lottery and what happened, they fell back. And I talked earlier about how I think this offseason is going to be the most important for them. And I think that you watch what's happening right now in the playoffs. The teams that were in there aren't going to get worse. Memphis made it in. They're going to be an interesting one there. Obviously, got rid of their coach, Ja. What are they going to do? They might move some pieces. I think the Clippers are going to be another team to watch. A first-round exit with the Kawhi and James Harden just ain't it. So maybe they make some moves, and Portland can take advantage of that. But look at the teams that didn't make the playoffs, right? Obviously, San Antonio is going to be better, even if they didn't get into the top 4, just because of the Victor Wembanyama experience. They were a team that looked like they were going to be a play-in or a playoff team until Wemby went out with the blood issue, right? And now you get to add a top 4 pick to that. They're going to be in the mix. And then you take a team in Dallas that was also right there in the mix until the last week of the season. And if Kawhi and Anthony Davis stay healthy, you add Cooper Flagg to that, you got yourself a playoff team. If you don't make the playoff team, you're probably failing year 1 in Cooper Flagg. So you got teams that were below you in the Blazers that are going to get better, who are getting better, right? You had a team in Phoenix that might wholesale, just sell this thing and see what happens. But the point is, it's going to be hard for Portland to get into that play-in as is. So I fully expect to see some moves. We talked about Jeremy Grant being the most likely. I've thought that the 3 most likely to be traded have been Jeremy, Anthony, and then DeAndre Ayton in that order. And I think Jeremy Grant now, I think with the 11th pick, maybe you can add that to him. You can find a way to move him. There's options there, right? What do you do with Anthony Simons? That's going to remain to be seen. But they're going to have to make moves. You're going to have to make moves because if you're watching this playoff series right now and you're seeing that the teams below you just got better through this draft experience, that the teams above you aren't really getting worse. There's a few of them, right? It's Phoenix, but okay, if Phoenix gets worse and Memphis gets worse, well, guess what? San Antonio and Dallas are right there. So, again, Portland needs to figure it out. Because what Portland can't afford is just to go be another fringe. We didn't make the play, and we're back in the lottery team. Not now. Now is the time to make the move. And you heard them in the offseason, in the exit interviews talking about their focus is playoffs now. Focus is playoffs. And it needs to be. It needs to be because they have to have the cojones to finally make some moves. They got to make some moves. They got to show the grapefruits that you have, not be afraid. Don't worry about what happens if you trade the next Jermaine O'Neal, right? Because Blazer fans live with the scars of that to this day. Oh, I don't want to trade CJ McCollum because what if he's the next Jermaine O'Neal? I don't want to trade Anthony Simons because what if he's the next Jermaine O'Neal? I think you need to stop worrying about what the guy could be at his next stop and just focus on what you need to do to build this team because, again, teams below you are just getting a whole lot better, right? A whole lot better. Sean says, how about Grant Simons, the 11th pick, and the 28th and 30 pick swaps removed for Giannis? I mean, I'm down. That's like one of those classic ones you see on social media. Who says no when clearly one of those teams is going to say no, right? But I do realistically want to look at some guys because I really do think that Jabari Smith Jr. has a chance to be a trailblazer. I think Houston's going to make some moves. I think they're a team that is just a few pieces away from really getting in there. I mean, and this is a team that was one top 4 team in the West, but they're going to be looking for some vets and some guys that have that experience and get you through these playoff type series. I mean, they need more Steven Adams types on that roster, right? So they might be looking to make moves, and I think Jabari might just be the odd man out with the emergence of all those young guys that they have, right? It makes him expendable. And he's 21 years old. Bring him in, let him go. I like his game. I think he's a player you can add to it. So there's going to be plenty of moves to be had. When you look around the league, Chad, who are some teams that you think might be movers or sellers?
I think Orlando is going to look to make some maneuvers because they need somebody that can create offense for themselves and get shots up. I agree. I think Houston's going to be a mover. I think they'll make things happen. Milwaukee, obviously, now that Giannis has opened himself up as a team, looking outside of Milwaukee, being open to a potential trade, I think that's a possibility. And then you always have to look at the teams like Oklahoma City and the others with massive assets to where they can go out there and make things happen. Yeah. Because, Oklahoma City's at the position now where they can tinker with their roster, having so many assets, and be able to get that piece where they can come out and maybe – put themselves over to the top and win a title if they don't do it this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Oklahoma City's filthy. And, again, they have all the assets in the world to do whatever they want to do. So, again, there's avenues out there. I still think some of the interesting ones, I think you look at Memphis, there's no way that team is okay with, barely making it in and then having getting swept and looking terrible. I think they make some moves. And I really do think it might be time for the Clippers to answer some tough questions too. I don't think a first-round exit is acceptable for them. So I think there's going to be plenty of moves to be had, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be a crazy offseason. But we have a commercial break here, which means I can get your attention. And I want to know, do you have some time? Maybe dive in a little bit. We didn't get a chance to talk about Brian Noe. You want to talk about that on the Rip City Drive?
Just give an update. A lot of people are asking. I've been in contact with him and have an update on his status as he continues his recovery, so we can update on that. And the majority of people who are either around the league, cover the league, or whatever, everyone thinks that the lottery was completely rigged, that it's total BS.
It might have been rigged. It might have been rigged.
Bill Simmons is like, get the F out of here.
Everyone is.
It's just too convenient. Even Casey Holdaw's upset. It's too convenient.
Absolutely. It is rigged. But I want to know what's your no update on how's he doing?
You want to do it right now?
Yeah, let's get in on it.
Okay, so I reached out to him, and let me pull up the latest text I got from Bino. And, of course, Brian Noe is obviously a great guy, and a lot of people here in town like him, and obviously a regular on the show, so we love Brian Noe. All right, so I just reached out and say if he had any updates because they thought that he had a stroke, and he said, hey, bud, I'm out of the hospital and doing much better now. The docs say it was a stroke, but they're not sure why it happened yet. It's pretty crazy. That's so cool about many people praying for me in Portland. I appreciate that more than you'll ever know. So they confirmed or pretty much confirmed a stroke, but the scary part is that he's not sure why yet. So they're still searching for the why aspect of that. But he's much better and out of the hospital now, which is nice.
That's good. And Brian
Noe's younger than I am.
That's scary. That's scary. And the reason people are pulling for him, he was here, obviously, at the afternoon show on simulcast on NBC and right here on iHeartRadio for a bit. Still chimes in. He's your go-to NFL guy.
He loves talking ball.
I loved working with him at NBC. And gosh, man, you're going to be hard pressed to find a harder dude harder worker. The guy's
Always hard.
everywhere all the time. He
All
works
the time.
8 days a week, man.
8 days a week.
Like he's wild, but Beano's awesome. So speedy recovery, get well soon, because obviously we're all here rooting for you in Rip City as well. Now back to the Blazers, though, just real quick before we get to a break here. Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really interesting watching how some of these teams act. You're going to have a possible new look NBA, and there's going to be plenty of teams moving. So I think this is a good time. That's why if you looked at where things were going at the trade deadline, I think it made sense to me as why the Blazers didn't make moves, because I spelled it out for you guys then and there, like Orlando being a team with their books change in the offseason to where Portland could actually get more value from Orlando by trading in the offseason versus the trade deadline, right? Force their hand a little bit. And then you got teams like go through their playoff runs like Houston, who might be willing to part with some of their young pieces. And like I said, Jabari is one of them. Find a way to get him out of there, right? Because he's good. I mean, with the emergence of Şengün, they can get rid of him as their other big man. He's been coming off the bench, and so Portland can reap the benefit of that. And sometimes you see a guy just moves to a new spot and it clicks. And if he could click with the young core, I think it's something Portland wants to look into. So Joe Cronin, being the guy he is, should probably be already making calls, and I wouldn't be shocked if he wasn't. Like, he's out there just calling already, and jokingly, like Chad and I said, should be calling Nico to see what it would take to get the first pick, because we saw that it didn't take much to get Luka out of town. So
the other part that excites me too is last year they went hard and heavy after Deni Avdija at the trade deadline. They couldn't get anything done, but they had laid the groundwork to get a potential deal done. It happened on draft night. What I'm excited about is what players were they close to getting, or player close to getting at the deadline this year that didn't materialize, but they laid the groundwork to revisit those discussions come summertime. So we might get something around the draft, get a player that they've been eyeing. Maybe it's Jabari Walker or someone like that, where they've laid the groundwork and it will come to fruition a little bit later. I'm excited about that because Schmitz and Cronin have got their eyes on young assets, young players that they believe can fit the core here in Portland.
Oh, absolutely. And going back, I mean, that the trade with Deni Avdija was something that Joe Cronin said that was something that we talked about with Washington at last year's deadline. Laid the groundwork and were able to return to that in the at the draft night, and it ended up working for Portland. All right, this is Courtside Monday. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. Follow me over on social at Chris J. Burkhardt. You can also join the conversation, 503-248-0620, or over at youtube.com. Just type in Rip City Radio. We'll take a quick break here, then we'll put a bow on this bad boy, and then I'll place an order because my wife said I can't come home without some bar tots and a burger. So
tots and a burger.
I got to make sure I place the to-go order. This
Don't
is
fail.
Courtside Monday on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Courtside Monday. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Chad Dooling to my left. My friend Bobby over to my right. Riding a 0-game win streak in our college football dynasty. Got to get it in on the chat, otherwise people will be upset. They want the updates. They want the college football updates. I got them invested. Right now, you got a just knockdown, drag-out battle over here in Madison Square Garden. Two heavyweights going at it, man. Boston trailing by 1 point with just under 9 minutes left as the Knicks have stormed back to take the lead, largely on the back of a huge third quarter from Jalen Brunson, who's now back in the game. And, man, New York, they're doing everything they can to try to get this game. This will be a huge victory for them, man. This is what playoff basketball is about, though. I mean, if they could take the 3-1 lead, that's awesome. That's what obviously what they want. That's what their fans want. But this game right now is being played, and it is being played tough right now. I don't know how much longer. You got to figure out how to do it. He's doing his best, man, but it's basically pass until you find the guy that's manned up on Karl Anthony Towns right now.
That's what they're doing. They're headhunting Towns every time down the floor, and he's just getting abused right now.
Yeah. The worst part is that drive and finger roll by Tatum, and then that three, like, they weren't awfully defended. Like, but you also have Cat who can shoot that three and make plays like that, so you got to keep him in. Kind of fakes the three, draws the defense, and then finds Mitchell Robinson on the lob. So it's this is playoff basketball. That's what it's all about. This is what the games lately have been like between Denver and OKC, just two teams battling it out. You're going to see, I think, Golden State against Minnesota tonight. I picked Minnesota to win that game, but I don't think a Steve Kerr team and a team that has Jimmy Butler on it is going to go down without a fight. They're going to go down swinging if they go down. So
I thought Kerr did a good job in Game 3 to put his team in position.
Yeah. It's just when you got to the point where you needed those big shots and those offensive plays, you didn't have one of the best of all time on the floor because Curry's out right now, which is just unfortunate. This would be a great time for Jimmy Butler to step up, but I also am just kind of rooting for Anthony Edwards and Minnesota to, kind of cement themselves, announce their arrival, man, because they are a fun team to watch. This game right now, though, still a 2-point game.
It's been a great second half. Terrific second half, and Jason Tatum's on fire. He hits another three.
Hits another one. What's that put him at 40 now? Wow. He's on fire, absolutely. Now, we're sitting here talking about this playoff game, right? The Knicks and the Celtics. And as we were talking a little bit during the commercial break, I really think that the Blazers have a very important offseason, right? And I've said that a few times now, but Portland cannot go into next year's draft lottery, right? Unless they pull off a trade and for some reason, they have they have the pick here from Charlotte, and Charlotte's back in the lottery, and that's why they're in, right? But they can't go in on their own doing. They can't go in because they missed the play-in. Portland has to do it. Now is the time. Now is the time to make the moves you need to make. Now is the time to put your foot down. Now is the time for a guy like Joe Cronin to be uber aggressive. You got to be aggressive. You got to absolutely be aggressive here and show that you want to be a playoff team. And that's what Joe Cronin said in the exit interviews, right? Now our focus is making the playoffs. Well, it has to happen.
Well, how do you define aggressive?
I think that when you're not just getting to the front door, so to speak. You're not just having the conversations. You're pushing those conversations through to the next level. You're not trying to lay the groundwork for the trades that could happen in the future. You're pulling off the trades that you've laid the groundwork for. That's what I mean by being aggressive. You're not sitting here and trying to sit. And I'm not saying he does. This is the perception we can see sometimes, though.
You pull the trigger.
Yeah, you're not sitting on the trade until maybe you get more value. No, it's time to pull the trigger, take a risk here and there, but make something happen.
I'm on board with that. And to me, making something happen is to bring more clarity to the roster by clearing out some of your veteran players that are on the roster.
You got to clear out. This is what needs to happen in my opinion. You need to clear out some of those veteran players. I think that obviously Jeremy Grant, number one, and then probably one of those centers at some point, whether it be Robert Williams or DeAndre Ayton. I still think there's a future for DA. I like the fact that he has great chemistry and a good camaraderie with Scoot. I think that's important.
But the problem is with the injury to Robert Williams, you need someone to be able to eat up minutes next to Klingon.
Yep.
So I would be stunned at this point if Aiden's not on the roster to start the year.
No, I absolutely think he will be,
Yeah.
and I still think there's a good future for Aiden, right? But Ant is a question mark. Jeremy Grant for sure, I think is out. But I think, like I said, we've said this a few times, but Jabari Smith is one. I still think Orlando, I would sit there, and Jonathan Isaac is a player that you can bring in. He's going to get a new contract that's paying him $10 million less, which is wonderful, and he's a 6'10" forward. He can play small forward, he can play power forward, he can go in and play center. That's that versatility, that defensive mindset. Those are the type of guys that Chauncey Billups likes. Those are the type of guys that Joe Cronin's been bringing in. So those are what I expect. And the other thing I think that you need is you need a shooter. Is there a guy out there who is just a pure shooter, can come in and be a guy you can pass the ball?
I agree with the shooting, but if you had to name, like, what position is the most important need? Is it guard? Is it guard depth? Is that what they need more than anything else?
I think you go guard depth is where you look for your shooter, and then I think that you're going to need forward depth, but you can get it with veterans that aren't guys like Jeremy Grant who are getting nearly $30 million a year to and clog it up. A guy like Jonathan Isaac that I keep pointing to, right? That's a guy who will be making about $15 million a year, which makes a lot more sense for a guy coming off the bench. Doesn't need to play 35 minutes a night or anything, and allows you to really make your lineups the way you want it. And let's go out to Gresham. Looks like we got producer notes. We got a caller on hold, Josh in Gresham. Josh, welcome in to Courtside Monday. What do you got for us?
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Oh, he did it to me again. He did it to me again. It's Victor in Turkey. Hello, Victor.
Anyway, thank you. I want to say that I agree, what you said, in this hour, because how many Portland players, I don't remember how many players they had, like number one pick. The last one was, 2 years ago, number 3, Scoot Henderson. And maybe you know better, maybe they had maybe 1 or 2 in the past 30 years, maybe number 1 pick, maybe the, what is that? They won championship. Who was that? Bill Walton was number 1 pick?
Yeah, I think Bill was the number 1 pick. Yep.
Yeah, maybe that's the only thing that I think I remember. I mean, that's the only thing I remember. Besides that, all these players right now, of course, right now, the Scoot is the highest pick they had. And before that, I don't remember any of them than the last 5 years or 10 years. So what you said is correct, that most of the players, even
What I'm saying is you got 1 minute.
New York, they weren't number 1, so they are all homegrown, as you mentioned. So I really believe in that. That's very important.
Absolutely.
Well, appreciate the call, Victor. The number 1 picks in history are Walton in 74, LaRue Martin in 72, Michael Thompson 78, and Greg Oden in 07.
Absolutely. So get these guys, make some trades, pull some things off, have some fun. Hey, big shout out to the Pit Stop. This place was fun. We got to come back out here. 30 TVs, Timbers, Blazers, NFL Sunday ticket, karaoke on Saturday, Sunday, trivia on Wednesdays nights. Come hit it up. Thanks to Chad, everyone out here. The music means it's time to go, though. There's only one way to end this show. Even though the Blazers fell to 11, the future's still bright. We're going to have fun together. You know why?